size and their duration, not for ourselves alone, but for all who wish to be free. That reminds me of Legionnaires. That's what we do. That's why we're here more than anything else. We're bearing that burden. And it's not a burden for us because what better way to be able to carry out this life than to give back to veterans? So we're preparing the next generation because I'm definitely going to need them, indeed. So getting back to your list, I need you to contact your public affairs officer, request a meeting with the base or installation commander, and collect data. When you talk to that installation commander, listen to what it is that installation commander is telling you as it relates to the capabilities that are on that installation or at that reserve center or at that guard center. They're going to let you know what they're physically doing in the big fight. So they're going to give you their mission, hear their mission, understand what the family support groups are requesting from that installation commander, and provide those resources. We have resources online, and everyone at headquarters in Indy and in DC is just a telephone call away. So if it's something that you're not sure about, don't hesitate to pick up the phone to call. So, public affairs officer, when I go in and speak to an installation commander for national security, they're concerned about what the American Legion is doing to fully fund our national defense. Well, I'm happy to report to you that our work has not gone in vain, gone on Capitol Hill, asking members of Congress to support a fully funded national defense. It's done. The NDAA 2017 is robust in budget, and the 2018 budget is a $56 billion request increase. Probably won't get that, but we're no longer asking Congress to support a fully funded national defense. We're thanking Congress for fully supporting a fully funded national defense. So strong quality of life. As many of you know, a lot of our service members are being diagnosed with PTSD or military sexual trauma, and it's not just women, it's women and men, and it's impacting the readiness. And right now, according to General Dunford, he's the Joint Chief of Staff, the #1 priority of our defense is readiness. So it's important that the American Legion stress a strong quality of life for our service members, because when our service members are strong, then that's a direct impact on their family members being able to continue to be strong. And then I also talk about the seamless transition. Well, how many of you know that transition is not seamless anymore? One of the examples that was used in a meeting yesterday was one of the prior Marines said that he spent 13 weeks getting prepared to enter or to be a Marine, and he spent 1 week transitioning. That's all of our experience. 1 week is not enough to transition from the military to the civilian life. But that's where we come in. That's where the service organizations, the veteran service organizations, actually pick up where the military leaves off. And the Executive Director, Verna Jones, and I just visited the Pentagon Army G1, and they have a program called Soldier for Life. Well, what they want to start implementing in Soldier for Life are veteran service organizations. They believe that when that service member enters the military, they need to be introduced to the American Legion. They need to be introduced to veteran service organizations that are going to help them throughout their deployments, throughout their PCS, throughout their transition to become a civilian. So seamless is not the adjective for transitioning service members right now. And we're talking with DOD so that we can be written in their policy. Veteran service organizations can become a part of a Soldier for Life's journey. Yes, sir.
How we were able to sell our American Legion to this commanding general was Troop Support Program.
Yes.
And we have a real good reconnect program with families that can't American Legion.
So the support program and the family program.
How you sell it.
That's how you sell the American Legion to these installations commanders. support programs, and family programs. So once you actually complete your visit with that installation commander, you would have completed 3 of the 5 points of the membership strategic plan. You would have created brand awareness, you would have opened up the lines of communication, and you would have completed training, education, leadership development. Development should be on there as well for that installation. And once you leave speaking with the installation commander, some of the things you can do while you're on the base, because you would have gained access through your public affairs officer, it's very simple. Only thing they have to do now is just leave your name at the gate, and you just have to have a valid ID. So it's not challenging to get on installations anymore. But once you get on that installation and you've completed your talk to the installation commander, go by and visit the USO. We visited the USO in Longstu. We went to the hospital and we went right over to the USO, and the Department of France actually hosted a barbecue, and it was so many service members that were eager to talk to Legionnaires to just share their story. Not only do they want to share their story, they want to hear your story. So it's important that you get involved in those type of activities where they can just relax and feel free and comfortable to be able to just talk to you about some of the things that they're experiencing, and then hear some of your experiences so they don't have to deal with some of the stresses of life that maybe you did or encountered, or the personality conflicts that we deal with in the military. So talk to the USO and find out their event calendar, and then ask for an invite. When you host an event for families at the USO, can the American Legion come out? And use that as an opportunity to take your materials from your post, from your district, and leave that material at the USO. While you can't push membership, you can certainly leave membership applications all over the installation. So,
Always remember to thank the installation commander that gave you access on a nice formal letter.
absolutely. Follow-up is key. The comment was always thank that installation commander for allowing you access with an official thank you card, letter, something that is tangible, that certificate of appreciation. It goes far, because when they have events, to David's point, they're going to call you. Can you come and speak? And speaking of can you come and speak, Walter brought up a very good point yesterday in a previous meeting, that on the American Legion website, you can Google American Legion speeches. There are 5 speeches already crafted on the American Legion website, and it's going to help you be able to have a baseline on Veterans Day speech, Memorial Day, Flag Day, the American Legion itself, and Pearl Harbor. So that's a great start for those of you who are not sure what it is you want to go and talk about. Those speeches are already tailored, and if I'm not mistaken, they change them every year.
They update them, they put new stories and new dates.
New stories and new dates, that's too easy. That's too easy. So again, you can just Google it. That's what we love about modern technology today.
American Legion spin on it, so it has a plug through for the American.
Yes, sir. He said that it puts the American Legion spin on it, so it have plugs for the American Legion. But that's a great way to insert yourself on that installation and get invites back, and then you start working your program to get in front of those service members. You can host town hall meetings. We hosted town hall meetings in Europe, and one of the biggest takeaways, actually there were 3 big takeaways. To our surprise, those service members in Europe said that the 800 VA crisis line did not work in Europe. I couldn't even imagine that. But because of the relationship that the American Legion has with Secretary Shulkin, we have a standing meeting with Secretary Shulkin every month. It was nothing to make a phone call to get that taken care of. But that's what the Legion does. That was the first big takeaway. The second big takeaway from conducting a town hall was the service members felt like it wasn't enough service officer representation in Europe to handle the caseloads that are there. So we're working with the VA to get more service officers to take tours to Europe. And the third big takeaway is those service members that they felt like they've been forgotten about, that they're stepchildren, and that no one cares. So that's what the American Legion footprint is for. So the good news is that the Department of France was there, escorted us on the trip the entire time. They took extremely good notes, and they're intervening now that the national commander and the national staff is back here in the United States. The mission absolutely does continue. But go and conduct a town hall, because you're going to hear exactly what the service member has to say about what they're experiencing. And you don't have to take the word of the installation commander or what the newsletters are putting out. Go find out for yourself what those veterans are experiencing and what those service members are experiencing. And they will be honored to share their story and know that somebody actually cares about them. It's monumental. So, this is not my friend. That is correct. It's training, education, leadership development. Yes, ma'am. Oh, well, then it wasn't the operator. All right. Locate the USO, become familiar with their event calendar, prepare your recruiting tools, because that is a goal of membership. You have to recruit for this organization to stay afloat. It is definitely my future. I love this organization. It is a tremendous value add. We see every day the impact of the American Legion across the footprint, everywhere from battleground sites to installations to Capitol Hill. And I will have you know that when crises occur, and they have often occurred with this new administration, something as serious as the term transgender and our current president tweeting that he's going to do away with transgenders in the military, the Joint Chief of Staff and the Secretary of the Navy came out and said, that was a tweet, that's not a policy change. But guess what? The Secretary of Defense office contacted the American Legion and said, can we get Commander Smith's statement? We're impactful all over the nation. And we indeed provided them with what you saw on the American Legion's website regarding our position. We don't move, we don't react just because someone put a tweet out. American Legion stand fast, steadfast on taking care of veterans. That's what we do. So with that, are there any questions regarding access to installations or Army Reserve Centers or the National Guard?
This is just a comment about President Trump was on Fox News yesterday talking about Boy State.
Yes.
He talked about the American Legion.
He sure did.
Extensively. Did anyone see that? It was really incredible.
Got a plug, absolutely. So it's working. What you are doing is working, so keep up the good work. Yes, sir.
I just want to add something real quick.
Yes.
I'm still currently in the Indiana National Guard here in the state. I know I have a beard, but I got away with it for the next month because I'm on med hold.
Amen.
No, ma'am. I'll yell. Can everybody hear me? No. No? Well, you said something. With the Indiana National Guard, and I've learned this 15 years myself in the Guard. My father did 37 years in the National Guard. I watched him. I would scream and cry, go to drill with him, hang on his coattails. I have seen how the National Guard has changed. It used to be when a kid would join the National Guard, he'd go to the local armory and he'd join the National Guard. Didn't matter what the MLS was, it was what that armory offered. Who here was a National Guard or reservist? So you know what I'm talking about? I mean, did anybody have that experience? live in Indianapolis. I drill in Muncie, Indiana. I go an hour and a half drive just to get to my home station. And so when I got promoted, I had to take that assignment. The FRG does not reach me in Indianapolis. They don't even contact me. They don't. Which is better, me yelling or?
They need you for the
all right.
live stream.
Sorry about that. They don't contact me. Yes.
I just asked, FRG, what does it stand for?
Sorry. Family Readiness Group. In Indiana, we call it the Family Readiness Group. Family Support Group, Family Readiness Group. They do great things. They're a good program, but their reach is only so far. They can't go to South Bend, Indiana, when it's a home station in Evansville, Indiana, in the southern tip of Indiana. They don't have the outreach to contact each other's groups and say, this soldier needs support. 3 months ago, my company commander called me at 2 a.m. to let me know that my platoon sergeant's house had burned down and that she needed immediate assistance. The following morning, I contacted her. I got the information details. I contacted the Department of Indiana, the district she lived in, contacted her, and got her that emergency temporary financial aid. We have the ability to make a big push with the Guard units and the Reserve units. I just want to make that point because the kids that are in the Guard now, I've got one soldier, she drives from Evansville every drill, and that's a 4-hour drive. Our FRG support are not going to drive 4.5 hours to make sure she's got groceries if she needs help like that. So you have a big opportunity to step in and help them. Another thing I've noticed, and I've been told this, does everybody know that Guardsmen get promotion points for being in an organization like this? It's called professionalism in the Guard. We get points up to E4 towards your promotion, your next promotion. Every year, I give a don't recruit them speech, but let them know their opportunities, let them know the support out there. Most kids think I'm a bartender because that's what they think the Legion is. So another brand awareness thing. But I give a big speech, let them know. They end up joining the Legion most times. But I digress. The point is, you have an opportunity. Connect with your FRG groups in those local areas because they will absolutely, definitely take the support because they don't have the connected system like we do established. Yes, sir.
Can I add one point on what you're doing?
Yes.
With regards to what the American Legion does? In Tomahawk, Wisconsin, up in the pucker brush of north central Wisconsin, we have the 951st Sapper Company. Our local American Legion post has a semi-annual come see what the American Legion luncheon is. Come see what the American Legion is luncheon. And we invite those people. Now, how does that affect what we do? During the recent deployment, we were contacted about a situation that occurred up in Mellon, Wisconsin with one of the troops from the 951st. The American Legion, through the 11th District Troop Support Fund, was able to help the lady get a corner of her roof fixed because a tree had fallen on it as a result of a storm. That would not have happened had the American Legion not been working with the local Guard unit. The Family Readiness Group, that's a great organization, but once again, they don't go everywhere. And when we were called and asked about it, we told them, yeah, we can make this happen. And within 72 hours, the roof was repaired. So that's the importance of the American Legion with your National Guard units and your reserve units and working with your family readiness groups. So if you're not doing it, you need to get out there and knock on those doors and talk to those people. My commander, Jim Lynn, he'll tell you, with our troop support fund, those young men and young women have used it quite a bit over the years. But it's one of those things that if you're not out there knocking on the doors, letting those people know what we can do to help them, that money that'll just go away. They won't know who we are. It's brand awareness.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely. So, thank you, sir. We appreciate that. So all of it, it's real. This is realistic, real-time examples that you're hearing, and the American Legion is right there in the mix. So continue to keep up the good work. I have 2 public service announcements for you. The first one is the American Legion DC office have a Women and Minority Veteran Outreach Coordinator. She has put together a fabulous conference for women that will be on the 21st of August at National Convention. It's in the Matrix. You can sign up electronically. We're on Eventbrite, we're on Facebook for the American Legion, and we're on Twitter for the American Legion. It's much easier to sign up for the event electronically. And the second thing that I want to mention is, how many of you know the American Legion is about to be 100 years old? All right. All right. How many of you know that there is a coin bill in legislation that the American Legion is trying to get sponsorship on? Absolutely. So if your member of Congress for your state, your representative or your senators have not co-sponsored the American Legion coin bill, then they are wrong. But how we need your help. Right now, we're sitting at almost 2 million members in the American Legion. There is a link on the legion.org website that says Take Action. That Take Action is very user-friendly. It is an email of a request from your member of Congress or your senator to co-sponsor our bill. You can print it out and take it to the district, or you can email it. So on that link also, it's going to tell you how many sponsors we already have. So the last count yesterday was 260 representatives. We need 290. On the Senate side, we have 68, and we needed 67. The reason why we need those numbers is so the bill can actually be read on the floor so they can then vote on it. We're in stiff competition with the Basketball Hall of Fame. 2 coins by the Department of Mint get struck every year, and it has to be approved by Congress. The Apollo coin has already gotten all of their signatures, so they're in. American Legion and the Basketball Hall of Fame are competing, so we need your help. I was saying we have about 2 million members. Imagine if 1 million of us just emailed our member of Congress. You know what impact that has on Capitol Hill? It has an amazing impact, and it speaks volumes, and that's what we do. So I challenge you to get your member or your representative to co-sign on the American Legion coin, and it will do about $8 million for the American Legion at the end of the day, and it's an amazing coin to have. Let's be clear. Yes, sir.
What website was that?
Legion.org.
Okay.
Yes. Take Action coin bill. Yes, sir.
We're trying to get 100% endorsement of the House and the Senate, and there's been never a bill that's gotten 100% endorsement and sponsorship for a coin.
Not 100%. The comment was we're trying to get 100% endorsement. We're not trying to get 100%. It's 435 representatives. We only need 290. So we don't need 100%. We just need 290. And there are 100 senators. We have 68. So we're looking good, but if somebody gets sick or decide they don't want to vote, we need more than 68. So the goal is have your representatives or have your senators co-sign on the coin bill for the American Legion. Are there any questions? Thank you all so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. All right, so while you're jotting notes down, I'm going to give you some information here to get online, because soon we'll be doing our hands-on training. To get online, when you get to the Sheridan site, there you will hit, I have a corporate access code or access code. That access code is Legion 17, capital L. That'll put you online. Legion 17, capital L. Yes, sir, 17, Legion 17. That tan card that's in your packet, it's not on there, but there's spaces for notes and things like that. But you will need that tan card in a little bit, in a little while here. Legion 17. Also, what I'm going to ask you to do, I have my colleague, Brad Buskirk, is one of the assistant directors here, and my other one here is Jeff Chapman. He's our newest member of membership. He's going to be in Central Region. I'm going to put him to work right away, because now we are streaming live. We have a live stream that's going on, so those district commanders and those people that couldn't make the training, we're bringing the training to them. I'm going to have Brad and Jeff, when you have a question or a comment, please wait for them to come to you with the mic, so those that are listening to the stream can hear what you're saying or hear their question, because they're posing questions as well, okay? All right, so what we're going to start with now, we have Lou Cook. He is also a past district commander, past department commander, et cetera, et cetera. He's currently on our membership and post activities committee as well. And we're going to talk about responsibilities. You are now newly minted, in some cases, district commanders or district vice commanders, and some of you may have gotten that voluntold, or you may have not stepped backward quick enough when they asked for volunteers and everybody stepped back, and you was a half beat too late, and guess what? You got a nice little blue and white cap now. So what are your responsibilities? What are your challenges? We're going to go into that in depth. Lou is going to talk with us a little bit about that now. So without any further ado, I have Lou Cook out of North Carolina.
Thank you, ma'am, for that kind introduction. You could have got a lot worse. Air Force veteran. Much louder than the previous speaker. No, I made the high score on the ASVAB test. That's how we get in. I did 27 and a half years in the Air Force, retired 22 years ago. Gosh, I'm getting old. Got active in the American Legion, and that's where we are today, is we're in the American Legion and doing what we love to do. When I was department commander, you're asked to come up with some kind of a motto or a theme or something that you want people to recognize. And so my motto was make the commitment. It's actually on my cap pin, make the commitment. And what I'm really looking for when I said that was we've all got families. We've got kids and grandkids, and in my case, great-grandkids. And so we have a lot of things that tie up our time, that occupy what we're doing. And you don't always have time to do the things that you really want to do other than family. And so I made the commitment. I joined the American Legion, and I'm not like half pregnant. I'm all the way pregnant. You're in or you're out. So I said, I'm going to make the commitment, and I want you to make the commitment to actually be an active and vital part of this organization, to participate all the way, not just halfway. And now that you're wearing district commander and district vice commander caps, I see you've made the commitment. You've accepted the challenge. Now are you willing to go the extra mile and make this organization grow and prosper? It's not an easy task. When I retired again, a year and a half ago, everybody asked me, they said, what are you going to do now? I said, well, I could go out and find another job, but I'm not. I bass fish. I have kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids that I like to visit and check on, and the American Legion. Those are the three things that occupy my time. My wife doesn't care a lot for those three, but that's what I do. And I've made the commitment to do those things. When Don Pancake was up here speaking with you earlier, he mentioned the most important job in the American Legion is the one that you've accepted. In a lot of cases, you did not step back fast enough and you didn't ask for the job, but you got it. It's the toughest job, but it's also one of two most challenging jobs in the American Legion. Somebody tell me what the other challenging job is. Adjutant, exactly. I don't know which one is worse, because I've been both. They both take up an enormous amount of your time, but the rewards are obvious. If you can get into that race to the top and your district is prosperous at the end of the year, you've done well with membership, you can look back on it, and for that 1 year, like Don said, you only got the job for 1 year at a time, I'll put it that way. Your scorecard is there forever. I know when I was department commander in North Carolina, we did not have a stellar year. I think we came in 31st place, which is not good at all. We're a little bit better than that now. We've been to the top 10 before, but it's really tough to get up there and all the way to the top. But you've got to continue to persevere, because that number 31 is on my coin, and that's going to be there forever. I'll always go no higher than 31st place as a department commander, because I'm only going to get to do that one time too. So it's your challenge, and you've got to accept that challenge to make it the best year you possibly can. The title of what I'm supposed to talk about today is twofold: the responsibilities of a district commander and the challenges of a district commander. So first, let's start with the responsibilities section. Everybody's read the National Constitution and bylaws, right? Everybody's read them cover to cover. You got it memorized? I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. Can anybody tell me what it says the responsibilities of a district commander are in the National Constitution and bylaws? You can paraphrase it if you like. Anybody? What are the responsibilities? There are none. It's not covered in the Constitution and bylaws at all. What it says, and I'll read this to you, it's very brief. Article 8, Department Organization. Departments shall have the authority to create intermediate bodies between the posts and department to act as a liaison between such organizations and for the purpose of promoting the programs of the American Legion. That's as deep as it gets right there. So where do you get your responsibilities? Who tells you what you've got to do during your year? Well, there's a lot of folks that are supposed to be coaching you and telling you what your responsibilities are, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that have been in your position before, and they're going to tell you exactly what you're doing wrong, because they've been there, and it's very easy to criticize. But the best source of information to lay out your responsibilities is actually covered in the District County Commander Guide. And it covers it very well. There's a whole paragraph there on what is a district commander and what your responsibilities are, organizing the team, organizing the district, and so forth. It's very extensive, and there's a lot of information there. But I wanted to try to put things in perspective from my point of view, things that I learned as a district commander, not just what you read in the book. You provide leadership and guidance. After all, your people voted for you. They put you in office, and they expect you to provide guidance and leadership to them, to kind of coach them, if you will, and tell them what to do. You have to be an effective communicator. After all, everybody here was, if you weren't, raise your hand. Were you in the military? You weren't? Oh, okay, I'm just kidding. I was going to say you're in the wrong room. You should belong in the commander's room over there. No, sorry. Everybody knows how that chain of command works. You communicate down and up. Well, that's your position right now. You're in the middle. You're that funnel, if you will. You take information from above and you pass it down to your posts that are underneath you. The same thing happens in reverse. Your post feeds you information and you channel it up to your commander and other agencies as required. So you must, from this day forward, if you haven't tried it already, learn to be a very effective communicator. Obviously, you have to be an organizer. I think Don covered that very well. When you organize campaigns and roundups and rallies, meetings, and so forth, you've got to do that effectively. And you can't get up there and act like, I don't really know what I'm doing, I've never done this before, and it's obvious. Because your year will not go well. Another key element is you must be an evaluator. You must be able to go into the post that you are the commander of and look at the programs that they're doing and evaluate their effectiveness. Of course, now that doesn't mean go in there and say, oh, you're doing this all wrong. You've got to change the way you're doing things and go this route. That'll never work. But you can coach them and you can suggest and possibly manipulate what they're doing and make them more effective. I used to have a boss that told me, he says, Lou, he says, you're a master manipulator. I said, well, what do you mean by that? He said, you can tell people to go to hell and make them look forward to the trip. You know, I said, well, that's part of it. You've got to be able to massage that message a little bit so that it's not my idea, it's your idea. And you thought of it. Gosh, that's great. And then they continue that process, and hopefully they become better managers as well. You must be able to perform post and district revitalizations. It's been mentioned already. Let me tell you, we've been doing these revitalizations for several years now. I forget the numbers we've got. Somebody said, yeah, they signed up 10 members or 12 members. Brad, how many did we sign up in North Carolina last year? Well, I think we had several.
Average event, we did anywhere from 112 to 130 for the event.
Yeah.
And, on that, he did at least 7 or 8 events, so
Yeah.
well over 1,000.
Yeah, but they're easy to do. Like I think Don said, telephone, charger, and a list of DMS and other people that you want to try to reach out and touch to bring back into the organization or to recruit into your post. Very, very effective and very cost effective. You don't spend a lot of money doing that. Easy to do. National will help you do them. They'll help you get the program set up. Their goal is to not continue to come out to the departments and assist in these revitalizations. If they can get you up and walking and occasionally into a trot, and then you can run with it, they can back out and let you do the program yourself. I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but you should be by now. The Membership and Post Activities Committee wrote a resolution last year, and it was passed by the NEC back in May, at the May meeting, that gives you access to all of those DMS members that are out there right now without any delay. You don't have to wait all that time to get access to them. Now, here's the catch. How do you get those people's information? MyLegion.org. That's the only way you can get them. And I was surprised to find out that when I looked at the numbers for North Carolina back a few months ago, that we have 25 districts in North Carolina. That's kind of excessive, but that's what we've got, 25 districts. I've got 24 districts that are on MyLegion.org. One district commander was not even accessing MyLegion.org at all, never signed up for it. We have 370 or so posts. Only 190 of them were accessing MyLegion.org. How are you people going to access this list of names that are Legion members that want to come to a post? How are you going to access this information if you're not even on MyLegion.org? You're not even signed up. So that puts the burden on you a little bit. I dare say there's anybody in here that's not already signed up for MyLegion.org. Don't show your hand because you won't be able to show your face. But that's how you get access to these names, and they're available to you. You must also, this is one of the responsibilities, you must start new posts where applicable. I think you heard, was it Mr. Wheeler this morning, or maybe been the national commander, talking about the number of posts that have had their charters revoked this last year. Huge number. Every department has a quota on, or a number, excuse me, on this is how many people it takes to start a new post. In our department, it's 15. There is no number that's the minimum number. So as they die off, I've had some posts with 3 members still live, and they didn't want to cancel their charter. But when do you pull the plug and say, let's do something different? That's part of your responsibility. Talk to the members of that post and see if they are interested in transferring to another local post, combine those two, and then cancel the charter for the one that's only got 3 members or had 3 members. There are times when crops will just not grow on a piece of land, when you've depleted everything there and there's no resources left. So that's when you have to pull the plug, and you have to be able to recognize that and handle that, one of your responsibilities. I'm sorry? Oh, let's switch and talk about some challenges for a minute. These are real life challenges that you face every day. The first one is absolutely criminal as far as I'm concerned. It's one of the worst excuses that I've ever heard in my whole, not just my adult life, it's my whole life. That's the way we've always done it. God, I hate that. That just makes my skin crawl. If you continue to do it the same way and you're not having success, maybe it's time that you don't do it that way anymore. Switch to something else. Be creative. Get outside the box and look at other avenues that might produce results. Organize a little think tank in your district. Grab some of the leaders, the informal leaders and the formal leaders, get them together and say, it's time to break down all the barriers. Let's talk about what we can do to make things better. How are we going to achieve the results we're looking for? And the answer is not, that's the way we've always done it. Recognize this simple fact. I don't think there's anybody in here that fits this criteria except maybe me and Don and Chuck and Brad. You don't have all the answers. You don't have them. Just go ahead and admit it. You don't have all the answers. But everybody in here has access to the answers, and you know where to get them. I mean, how hard is it to make a phone call? I bet you everybody in here has a cell phone, although some of you might have flip phones, and pretty antique, but that's okay. You have access to the information if you want to go get it. So don't act like you have all the answers if you don't. Instead, I urge you to become the expert. I used to teach a class in college years ago. Gosh, that's been a long time ago. I used to teach public speaking, believe it or not. I did it for 8 years. Now, there's an old saying that those that can do, and those that can't teach. So I'm not saying I'm a gifted speaker, but I knew how to tell people how to give speeches. And one of the things that when I started my class, people would say, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do, is stand up in front of a room and give a speech. So, yeah, it's the number one fear in all the world. Not drowning, not fire, and all that. Public speaking is the biggest fear. What you've got to do, and there's a lot of techniques they tell you, look at your audience, pretend they're naked, and all these kind of things. What worked for me was tell myself that I'm the expert. Convince myself that I know more about this particular topic than anybody else there. And the confidence level just goes up astronomically because you're telling yourself, I know more than everybody here. If you're not the expert, become the expert. Do your homework, study, prepare yourself. Go into your district meeting, do your post meetings, and exude confidence. And the people will follow you. They will come to you for information. I don't know why, but people in North Carolina, there's still some of my compadres down there. John's one of them. He comes to me and says, Lou, what do you think about this? I'm thinking, why are you asking me? He said, because you know everything. And if you don't know, you know where to get it. Okay, you got to be confident. I think we all recognize this. that sometimes you have to recognize that there are no two posts identical. They're all different. We have, like I say, 25 districts in North Carolina. We've got, I think the district with the most posts has like 23 or so. I think that's your district, 23. So that's a lot of posts. And we have in our Constitution and bylaws that the district commander must, no, excuse me, it doesn't say must, it says shall, visit every post between July 1st and February 1st. Have to. And if they don't, the department commander shall replace them. You put somebody else on the job. That is so crucial. I realize it's not practical in some places, like Minnesota. You got some districts with 1,000 posts or something. I mean, some huge number. It's not practical to make a personal visit all the time, but you have got to be in contact with those post commanders to talk about all the things they're doing or not doing, and try to herd cats. It's difficult, trying to get everybody to march to the same beat, but that's what it's comparable to. A lot of times when I think of being a district commander, it's a lot like other challenges I've seen. And I like the analogy of, I don't know what they call those big long boats that everybody paddles and synchron, what's that word? They're all synced, okay? Synchronized. And everybody, what do they call those? Skulls. That's what I thought, skulls. I compare being a district commander to being on one of those boats. And all your post commanders have got oars in their hand. Think about this. You're in the back of the boat with a megaphone or some little speaker device, and you're telling everybody, row, 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 row. Except I hope district commanders can say more than that. But you're trying to encourage those folks to get us to the finish line. And the people on board that boat, rower number 1 through 4, they're rowing together. It's beauty. That boat just slides through the water so easily. Rower number 5 is splashing and playing in the water, or they're hitting the paddle up and down, or they're saying, how much longer, or I've got to go pee, or there's something going on with them all the time. Something that keeps you from reaching the finish line quickly, effectively. Rower number 6, he's rowing, but he's rowing slower than everybody else. So he's creating havoc with the ones in front of him and behind him because he's not being effective. Rower number 7 is sound asleep, not rowing at all. So you're rowing his dead weight because he's not doing anything. He's just snoozing. And rower number 8 is eating lunch and enjoying the ride. And he's probably complaining, I'm going to take the bus next time. We're not getting there quick enough. So where does your job come in? In the back of the boat with the microphone or the megaphone, telling everybody, let's get together. Let's do this effectively. It's an analogy that I use for any kind of team effort. It works better if everybody's rowing at the same time. One of the things that was brought out earlier, I think during the presentation about visiting bases, before you go anywhere, and this probably includes anything with a Legion cap on, before you go there, do your homework. Learn the Legion. Learn what it does. Learn its programs. Learn all about the outreach. Learn about the dollar amounts that we spend every year, how much we raise, how much we spend, where it goes in your community. Do your homework with that first. Don't wing it, because somebody in your audience is going to say, wait a minute, that's not right. I thought the DAV did that, or I thought the VFW wrote the GI Bill. Or that's when you quote the name of the person that wrote the GI Bill, and like Don said, it was done on the back of a napkin and in Georgia, and then it went to Congress and presented it, and it was passed. Do your homework. Don't wing it. If you don't know the product you're selling, then you're not going to sell it. You've got to know the product. How do you learn what your product is all about? Well, there's several great sources of information, and some of them have been talked about today. The first one is American Legion Extension Institute, now to be known as Boot Camp. Basic training, American Legion Basic Training. New title, pretty much the same program. And in an effort to get people to take the course, you get one of these pins like I've got on my cap, to get them to take the course, starting in September 1st, is that right, Don? It's free. I had to pay $4.95 to get this thing. But you'd be amazed, $4.95 must be a burden on a lot of people because enrollment in that course took a big dive this last year. The numbers are actually down. That's criminal. The course has so much information. And what I really like the most about that course, other than the quantity and quality of the information, is it's available to you from now on. Let's say somebody asks you, a question, hey, you're going to give a speech and you're going to cover the GI Bill, for example. You can go back online today, you might have taken the course 2 or 3 years ago, put your information back in there and review whatever you want to review. The course is updated all the time, so the information is current. All the historical stuff, they don't change that, it stays just like it was. But you can go back and get a refresher on whatever it is you need to know about the American Legion from that course. I love that. I also took the course the old way with books. I've still got those books. They're 20 years old now, and that information didn't get updated. So this way is a whole lot better. And making it free, nobody has an excuse for not taking it. I know in some departments, mine is not one of them, sadly, it has become mandatory. If you expect to be a district vice commander or above, you must take that course. And how are they going to know if you took it? Well, once you take it, it's on mylegion.org. And your department commander, all the people that are in power can review your qualifications and see what courses you've taken. I'm also a graduate of Legion College, the national college, 2007, class of 2007. That's also on mylegion.org. So somebody can look and see what I have taken. The information is there. I know, and I'm well aware of this, Legion College only takes between 50 and 60 people a year, total. That's it. That's total enrollment. And it's up to your department to recommend you do the proper application process and send your name forward with I think it's $600. So not everybody gets to go. But there are some departments that don't send anybody. They never send anybody to Legion College. And it's such a worthwhile endeavor. You can't lose. It doesn't really cost you anything except what you eat while you're here. I like to go to Buca's. Anyway, I recommend if you haven't taken the Legion College, the new name, basic training, do that and encourage your department to allow you, if you're eligible, to go to Legion College here in Indianapolis. And by all means, think of the younger troops coming up that are in your post on how they can learn more about the Legion by attending the Legion College. Very worthwhile. I mentioned a few minutes ago, yes, sir?
I would highly recommend it. It's the best week you'll ever spend.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. And probably the most important thing about Legion College is not what you actually learn, but it's what you pick up from each other. You form relationships with other people, other Legionnaires just like you that are here for the learning, here for the exposure, and those relationships go for a long time. I still maintain contact with some of my classmates from 2007. We share information with each other. It's extremely important. I mentioned a few minutes ago about having a little roundtable discussion, break down the barriers, talk about common problems and how we can solve them, and thinking outside the box. And I mentioned finding out who the leaders are in your various posts. If you've ever taken any courses in college, or even in high school for that matter, they talk about leadership, and they talk about the informal leader and the formal leader. You're all formal leaders because you've been elected to this position, so by virtue of you're taking an oath, you're now a leader. But I would probably tell you that half of you in here have somebody working with you that's the informal leader. They actually step up and help get things done when the mission seems to falter a little bit. So one of your challenges when you go into your post is not only talk to the post commander, but take a step back and look and see what's going on in the post and who's really pulling the strings, who's making things happen. I guarantee you can find 1, 2, 3 informal leaders in that post that you need to contact. You need to bring them on board. Give them some responsibilities, give them some challenges that will keep them occupied and keep them fruitful for the organization. Any Gold Brigade members in here? Yeah, okay, about 10 of you. Fantastic. I'm not a Gold Brigade member. So why am I on the membership team? Well, there's some people that can organize things, and there's some people that can just go out and sell. They don't have to worry about anything else. I'm probably in the former category. I mean, I can manage to get things done somehow, but I'm not a Gold Brigade member, never have been one. I've signed up lots and lots of members. And in those cases, I just put somebody else's name on there and give them the credit for it. I'm not trying to get the Gold Brigade. But the emphasis has got to be, and this is a charge for you, the emphasis is not going to be on recruiting members and say, okay, my job is done. That is not going to keep those members in the American Legion. The emphasis has got to be placed on keeping those members occupied. Get them into your post. Tell your post commanders, hey, I brought you a new member, or you brought the new member in. What are you going to give him to do? What's his challenge going to be? You going to put him on a committee? Anything. But when you start letting that new member stand with his back to the wall and watch people go by, nobody shakes his or her hand, nobody welcomes him to the post, you'll see very soon that they're gone. Where they used to stand is an empty spot now because they left. And not only will they leave the post, they'll leave your roles. You didn't keep them occupied. You got to make people feel like they're part of the family, that they're part of the group. And that's one of your challenges. When you see that, when you go to your various posts, you've got to point that out to the post commander. Say, hey, look, what about Joe Bag of Donuts over here? I mean, does he have a job? No, we haven't given him anything yet. He's only been a member for 3 years. Oh, wait a minute. When he's been a member for 3 minutes, you should have given him something to do. At least, marry him up with 2 or 3 guys and say, you're on the cook committee. And next month or the month after, it's your responsibility to furnish the chow for everybody. We'll pass the hat or however you want to do it to pay for this. And every February, it's your job. At least you've given him something to do. He looks forward to it and says, that's where I fit in. I would point out that there is no magic wand. I know most of you have seen or heard of Harry Potter. He's got one of those little wands and he makes all kinds of things happen. I don't have one. Never did. Some people expect that. They say, okay, I'm a district commander. Give me the tools. Give me the wand. What do I need to get this done? Oh, no, it's hard work. It's hard work, and I think most of you know it by now. If you haven't, you'll know it when you get back home and get into your real year. I want you to focus on attending those post meetings whenever you can, but I want you to remember that if your district meeting and or your post meetings are not informative and interesting, they won't happen anymore. People will just stop coming. I remember I'm in District 7 in North Carolina, and our district commander he wore the skunk cap, black and white cap, every year. They just keep voting him back in, over and over and over. And I would go to his meeting as a young pup, and he would say, okay, everybody here from posts so-and-so, 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 yeah. He said, I'm tired of this. He said, you guys are really falling down on membership. What are we going to have for lunch today? The meeting was effectively over. He was standing there and chew us out, about our poor showing in membership, and then we'd eat. As my old adjutant used to say, meet, greet, eat, burp, and go home. That's about what we did. I got very dissatisfied with attending district meetings. They're not productive. So think about inviting a speaker to every meeting you have, somebody that has something interesting to offer. There used to be a saying that if you wanted to be voted into office anywhere in North Carolina, the path was through the Legion Post. You had to go to that Legion Post and convince that group that I'm your candidate. Of course, be fair. If there's 2 candidates, 3 candidates for that office, you invite them all. They don't have to come, but you extend that invitation to all of them. You'll find that they have some of the most interesting speeches to give, and they learn about the American Legion at the same time. One of the biggest challenges, it's probably the biggest challenge, and it's the one that is a real obstacle to effective leadership in a district, is lack of communication. Total lack of communication. You got to be able to tell the good news with the bad, but you've got to communicate. You've got to get on a level with your post commanders and say, I've got some information for you. You may not like it, it's some bad news. Or it might be, you're doing a great job. Let's talk about how effective you have become and how prosperous your post is and all the things that you're doing right. But it's got to come down to that communication. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Remember the chain of command we talked about earlier. It's up and down. You've got to get in that line of communication and share your information, share your experiences with your post commanders, and solicit their inputs as well. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes, sir. Right.
I've been going on there since. On the DMS, how many of you logged on to DMS as a district commander? Have you found any under 1-year members on there? I've logged on that since the 1st of July and have not seen one. Not one. They're supposed to release them 1st of July. And I haven't seen one on there yet.
Have you tried it? So you picked.
Yeah.
So you,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying, are they any under a year? That one's been on there 2 weeks yet?
all right,
That was supposed to be immediate information release.
Brad?
it might not be populating for your region because it might not be there. I don't know, how would you, I would say sorry. There are some areas that, aren't going to do as well with the DMS as others. So it could be as simple as that, or it could be a glitch in the system. But we can always check into that for you also. The gentleman up here said North Carolina is good, so. Yes,
Probably
sir.
the best answer to that is what Brad is saying. It might be something that's isolated to your particular area where the information has not been populated on the system. So if you have that situation, call up division at the membership division at national headquarters and say, look, my information is not available. And then they can select that, isolate it, and hopefully provide a solution. Yes, sir.
I'm looking for the DMS listing also since the 1st of July. Are they coded differently? Is there a special code?
Actually, we may be able to answer that after lunch because after lunch is my Legion training.
There you go.
So we will be able to answer that for you.
Glad I got
All
out of
your
that
my
one.
Legion issues.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You mentioned earlier about staging a district roundtable and getting ideas. Well,
Right.
I thought we were going to do some of that here, because what I'm faced with is I've got 29 posts in 7 counties, and it's kind of hard to communicate with people when they go to a cell phone and they don't tell you what the number is. And
Well-
then, wait a minute.
Okay.
And the post, problems I'm having, these guys most of the posts are senior citizens. They've been there, done that, and they don't want to do it again. But they don't want young members in, or they get a young member in, he wants to have a dance night, and they shoot it down. But like I said, the problem I have is some of these posts are still active, but they're introverted and they only do social program. But they don't do Legion programs. And that's the problem I'm having, is getting people off their dead asses.
Everybody hear what he said? Is his problem unique only to his district? No, it's everywhere. It's pervasive throughout the organization, which is another one of your challenges that I didn't list, is how do you work through that? How do you overcome that? And I don't have the answer for everybody. Again, every department is different, every district is different, every post is different. We've got posts that are just the opposite. John's post, how many members you got now?
We have 759 is what we ended up membership year. We're already up to close to 800 with
This
about
year.
40 new members this year.
This year. Young post, they've got some older members, but they have energized that post with an influx of younger members that they get elected, they hold office, the old timers begrudgingly step aside and say, okay, you got it, you know.
Well, the big story in this month's dispatch has a young man that did that with Chicago Post. And like I said, we need to adjust ourselves to accept the new members and get them in. Because my rule has always been, your job's not done until you've trained your replacement.
That's true, that's true, very true. Yes, sir. Oh, hold it.
Talk about being creative. I had a post commander that told me the other day that he was going to, there were so many retirees in our area that he is picking out the retirement homes in his area and making arrangements to have the post meeting at the retirement home.
There's an option. You don't have to meet at your post home. You can have it anywhere. A lot of the posts in North Carolina don't even have post homes. They go to restaurants and have meetings. They have restaurants in school cafeterias, in churches, variety. Wherever it's convenient, where you can get the biggest bang for the buck, get the most people involved. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Tony from Wyoming, and we're having some of the same problems that the man from Wisconsin is having. And I was wondering, are we going to have any sort of roundtable discussions during the time, or is this all going to be like on our time?
Figuring that out. As far as this class, we will have a round table, because we will have a question and answer back and forth section that will be first thing tomorrow morning when we talk about the actual district revitalizations, and we will review all of the speakers, the responsibilities and challenges, the access, all that. There will be some give and take between the group here as a whole, and that will be in the morning.
And not to stifle anybody's creativity or input here, that's part of what we're doing here, is if you have a particular situation that you want to talk about, we can talk about it right here.
Well, then, I will, I guess, continue his question, and I would like to talk about the younger members and the older members, because with his post, it sounds like he's got basically mostly young members. And
Not mostly.
we have one of those. No, not mostly? Okay.
Our median membership age is still in the 65 to 70 range.
Okay.
But they have an influx of younger members that's making a presence known.
So we have two posts in Wyoming that that at least had a lot of younger members. One, it's been mentioned in the Legion magazine and on the website. They're doing a great job, but they revitalized a post that was actually pretty much dead, and it's all new members. But where I live, we have a lot of older members who still want to be a part of it, and then when the newer members came in, and younger, and I'm younger and I'm 47, when we came in, they got upset and had a takeover and took it back, and so there's a lot of tension. And I was just wondering, and it's kind of resolving itself, but I'm just wondering how everybody has dealt with that, because the younger members, that got kicked out of their office, basically, by people who never attend the meetings.
Right.
But it's valid, right? So those younger members are now feeling like, well, I'm not wanted, I'm going elsewhere, or I'm just leaving the Legion. So I'd like us to discuss that, if that's something that all of you are having issues with.
I think it's a good topic for discussion. Do we have time? We have a few minutes? Okay, all right, so you're eating into your lunchtime, okay. But seriously, that's a good topic of discussion right there, and I would invite anybody, if they have the secret to that, or something that your post or your district is doing to address that situation, let's hear about it. Because just from the looks of the hands that went up, it sounds like everybody has that same problem.
Okay, so I'll explain the way our post works. One, I'm going to start 5 years ago. That was actually before I was even a member of the American Legion. I've only been a member 3 years, technically 4 because I joined in June. But 5 years ago, our post membership was at 250 people. We've grown exponentially, obviously. We're the third largest post in North Carolina now. Our current executive board age range goes from, we have a Korean War vet that's our first vice commander, to our commander, who is Iraq, Afghanistan, like myself. He's 30 years old, has 2 small kids, and everywhere in between. Nobody in our post has a bad idea. We empower the younger members. I went up there to join. We're a very active social post. We do a lot of family-friendly events. I went up there to enjoy a band one night. Most of you guys may know him. Mention the name Greg Gabriel. He was in my Legion a year and a half ago. He recruited me up, said, hey, you want to do something? I said, yeah, sure. Started slowly integrating myself into things that I wanted to do. We have some people that don't do anything in our post. We have other ones that are active, go to do everything. The way we integrate with it is we empower both the younger and the older, and we have roundtable discussions once a month, not an executive meeting. We sit down one morning on a Saturday morning, get coffee and donuts, post pays for it, and we sit down and we just have discussions about what we want to do for the next month and the rest of the year. Planning meetings. So that way it's not in a formal setting. You don't feel like you're sitting there getting direction 100% by the post commander. You actually, it's super informal with the programs that we have. With the Ladies Auxiliary, president or whoever their representative is there. Legion Riders, director or representatives there. And we just all have a big roundtable discussion. It's not limited to just the executive board or just the older generation. And when it first happened, yes, the older generation in my post was a little hesitant. And then they realized we had good ideas because our membership numbers started going up. And not all of our ideas are correct either. We took input from the older generation in our post, and they said, well, you know, we've tried this before, it didn't work, but maybe if you tweak it a little bit like this and you guys have the motivation to do that, maybe it'll work this way. So you've got to be, as an older generation, you have to be open-minded to trying something again. Just because it didn't work 10 years ago doesn't mean that it might not work now. We're almost to the point now where we're going to start webcasting our post meetings. Because guess what? Not all 750, 800 members can attend a meeting. We don't have the room for them to begin with, but so that's the way that a young member can become active in the post and feel like that they are involved just because they can log in and watch the meeting. Any other questions about how my post operates?
How many members do you get at a meeting?
Yes, so he asked how many members that we get to a meeting. It varies. Sometimes we'll have up to 100. Usually it's around 80. The reason why, let me go into why that is.
Yep.
So why that is we recruit a lot of active duty members into our post. Guess where they're stationed at? They're stationed, the closest base to us is an hour away. Some are stationed in Mississippi. We had a member that was super active, got moved up to Virginia Beach, was 2 hours away. Some are in Afghanistan right now. So that's why we want to go to the webcasted meetings, so that way they can still feel active in our post, because they know either they're from the area, they're going to come back to the post whenever they come back home, they're going to plan on coming back to Fuquay Arena, or they enjoy our post because that's where their dad's a member of, or their mother's a member of, or their grandfather helped establish the post. We have a few members that way as well. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you said the problem that we have is that the older members don't really care about the membership numbers because we have about what we've always had, and so that's good enough. And
Yeah,
so
common.
how do you get over that to get them to want to have more members?
Well, we don't really have that exact problem I'll post. I will give my input as a younger, active member in the American Legion. When I first went to the post and was talking with a lot of the older members, they were they stayed engaged in what we were doing. Because the way you worded it, you said it was a takeover, and a lot of people feel like that you have all these new people that step in and all these older people that's been there forever that don't like that the new generation's taking over. Don't do it as a takeover. Do it as a mentorship. Let them. I've learned more from Lou not because of what he knows, but who he knows, and he can get the right answer. Then I have a lot of other individuals locally in my post, because I asked other people that's been established in the Legion for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, what's the answer to this? Where did this started? I didn't know before I joined the Legion that the Legion is the one that started the GI Bill. Learned little tidbits of information. Approach it as a mentorship, not as a takeover. So don't go in there when you first want to do that and say, I want to be a post officer. Well, I'm trying to offer a little bit of insight of what happened at our post.
His point is valid, and we haven't talked much about mentorship, but that is a very important element. Back to manipulation a little bit. Don't go to the old guys and say, we're trying to weed you out so the young guys can take over. What you got to do is say, I need your help. Can you teach these younger guys what you know? And then all of a sudden they embrace it, and they say, gosh, we're going to succeed at this. Yeah, they're still going to go out the door, but it's usually age, and infirmary or something like that. Yes, sir.
Two things. I'm Brian Morrison from Boyne City, Michigan, newly elected commander of the 19th District. I brought my support team with me.
You pay them? You pay them?
No, actually they're going to pay me later. One point for you, young lady, is that it was mentioned earlier that one of our responsibilities is post-creation, and I don't want to start a division in your area, but if you're not accepted at that post, start your own.
Yep.
The other question I have for you is, you have 80 members at your post attending meetings. Is it just a business meeting, or do you have something else going on?
So that's our general membership meeting, business meeting, as you called it. Up until about a year and a half ago, that number was 40. So we're actually growing membership attendance at meetings. We're doing that. One, we shortened the meeting. They used to go to 2 hours long. They don't exceed an hour anymore, if that. We stepped up the game on the meals, made it affordable. I mean, it was affordable before, standard $10 to attend a meal or to eat there. And it's a big spread of food. I mean, you don't leave that place hungry. Another thing is we started doing more recognition, not all just business. It's, well, not bad business. When I get into that, we're about the good things we're doing in the community. You know what? I'll give you an example from 2 months ago. We had one meeting, didn't handle hardly any business except briefing everybody, where we got this flag etiquette class at this school this week. We got town hall presenting the colors this week. Sheriff Harrison's going to do a training seminar for his deputies at the post this Saturday with the K-9 dogs. If you want to come watch, our big thing that's helped us out is community involvement and being visible in the community. The town and community actually reach out to us to do things and give them guidance and assistance.
Write that down, because that's so important. I used to hear this all the time, and now it hits home. Think about this. Ask yourself this question. If your American Legion post were to fold, what impact would that have on the community? I mean, if you just cease to exist, and if you say it doesn't have any impact, then you've got work to do. You've got to cement that relationship with your community so that the right hand washes the left. When they need help, they come to you. When you need help, you go to them. Yes, sir.
I've got a saying in Joe's post in Tomahawk, Wisconsin, will testify to that. that a community-based post is a successful post.
True. All right, one more question and we're going to lunch. Yes, sir.
In our district, we have a post that is basically, it's a large post, 500 or 600 members, something like that. But it's an older post with older vets. And the problem we're having at that post is the older senior member, like from the commander goes to this gentleman for all of his information, but this gentleman also thinks that there's no room in this post for the district.
Right.
The district, well, who needs a district? And that's a problem we're having and how to deal with it. I don't know how to deal with it.
It comes back to the district commander being assertive, but also bringing information. You got to work your way into the door so that they appreciate you being there. Okay, are we out of town? I've got an
Okay.
appointment upstairs.
Yes, Lou's got to go upstairs. I don't want to hold you from lunch. It is Friday. Downtown is going to get crazy for lunch. So if you look at your schedule, we got from 12:30 to 1:45. That should get you enough time. They then things out here. You can't go around there. Real quickly before you leave, we will be doing my Legion training, the hands-on training when we get back. Have your tablet, laptops, what have you ready to log on to the internet. You're going to get to the Sheridan, click on there, and it's going to say, I have an access code. The access code is Legion 17, and you're going to need that card to get to your websites that we're going to be training on. Promptly at 1:45, have a good lunch. In here, right back here, 1:45, have a good lunch. Lou, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. We got it? Okay. We can't use them both at the same time. Okay, everybody had a good lunch, I hope. Didn't have to scramble and stuff too much. If you didn't, just nod your head yes anyway and say, yes, Ro, it was wonderful. Okay. Go Stars for you. Okay, so for those of you that have your devices, your tablet, your laptop, whatever it is that you are going to have, I know we're going to be online, hands-on. There's going, and if I'm remembering right, Joe, we were going to alter it just a little bit. I know we were trying to get everybody's district login beforehand, but it was so many of you that we couldn't get everybody in on time. So we're going to adapt and overcome. And then we will continue on, okay? So, did everybody log into the internet? Everybody's got on the Wi-Fi, correct? No, I hear somebody saying no. And Libby's shaking her head like no. Okay. Okay. All right, if not, if you don't have your laptops, you don't have a device, it's okay. You're still going to get the information. It's still going to be pertinent to you. What we're going to start on right now is My Legion training. And we have Joe. He took me off. We have Joe Gallagher and Libby Vickers. These are My Legion gurus. So when everybody was saying, My Legion doesn't do this and My Legion doesn't do that, and I was like, wait. This is why I was saying, wait. Okay? All right, so without any further ado, now turn it on, Joe.
All right, can you hear me now? Yeah? Okay. Thank you, Rolanda. My name is Joe Gallagher, and I work in the IT division. Been here for a couple of decades now. I think a couple of decades plus. The last adjutant I remember one time was introducing me. I said, Gallagher, how long you been here? He said, well, he's been here long enough for me to watch his hair turn gray. So over the years, I've gotten very familiar with a lot of the different components of membership. Everything from direct renewal, PUFL, DMS, Department Life programs in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kansas, and your annual membership cards and rosters to some of the things that we've built online. So have a pretty decent understanding and have traveled across the country talking to a lot of Legionnaires, specifically in leadership positions, and trying to understand what kind of tools will better help them do their job, okay? So I think the focus audience here is district officers. I can pretty much tell by the caps in the room. So how many district officers currently have a sign-on My Legion? Okay. What Rolanda was talking about is if you are unclear about some of these things and want to follow along with us here, feel free to do that. I'm not sure if we will overload the Wi-Fi down here. They say we should be fine. Okay, well, as we all know, some of these things that you might not be familiar with, we could get a little closer to. Things that we don't cover here that you might need some one-on-one attention with, Libby will be available and myself out in the lobby afterwards, and I'll be here tomorrow, okay? So, how many of you know Libby? Yay, give Libby a big round of applause. Everybody knows Libby. Stand up there, Libby. Yes, come on. Yay. Libby is the, for those of you who will be at convention, you will see her at convention. She has literally been my right and left hand trying to keep this thing steady in the air as we've been out there. She handles a lot of telephone support. So I marvel at her patience under a lot of those circumstances. Some of them are difficult. I just had one guy in the last session, I was talking about outputting to a PDF. He stood up and said, I have a stupid question. What the hell is a PDF? So I told him, see Libby afterwards. She'll be able to tell you what the hell a PDF is. So, okay. So for those of you that are familiar, My Legion is a secure internet access web portal to the national membership database, okay? And it's the same machine that does your cards and rosters, Puffle cards, all the telephone support, customer service. It's one big global database with this little layer of web on top that allows our primary audiences at the leadership levels to access My Legion, okay? So, anybody familiar with Fort Benjamin Harrison out on the northeast side of Indianapolis? Yes, all right. The Defense Finance Accounting Center is still out there, but unfortunately the base was a victim of BRAC and also allowed the American Legion to build the Geiger Operations Center, named after John Geiger. That's where we do all of our work. Nice building out there. But that's where our national database, so to speak, is warehoused. Okay. So for those that haven't accessed My Legion before, we'll go through some of the details. Some of them I'll try and skim over that may be just, depending on how many eyes I see start glazing away from me here. But if you're regular visitors to legion.org, right up here at the top, if you type in legion.org, click on mylegion.org, you can get to mylegion.org. Or if you just want to open your browser and type in mylegion.org, you'll get there. And this is the three primary access points for the different audiences. Okay, members, departments, post districts, counties. So, real quick, just a note about the audiences. And I always get lots and lots of questions about why can't the post vice commander? Why can't the post finance officer? Why can't the department vice commander? These are the audiences that we support. Beyond them, what I try to do is say work together to get the information that you might need. We are pretty much taxed to the hilt just supporting this level of user group. So for instance, I can tell you at the post and squadron level, we have about 10,000 users. About 8,000, a little bit less, are Legion post officers. Libby knows them all by first name. Members, we have about 70 or 80,000. We'll take a look at what they can do in there. County and district officers, probably about 1,500, those two combined, okay? The county level, do I have any county officers in here? Okay. County level administration isn't quite as prevalent unless I think in New York, there are quite a few of them still there. And then at the department level, both Legion and SAL access, okay? So detachment level and squadron level, those audiences are taken care of over under mysal.org, okay? So if you have any of your SAL leaders asking, can they get access to this? Yes, they can. mysal.org, they can go there and sign up. Okay. Yes. Okay. I'll just go ahead and mention the. Are you a new district officer?
I finished up last year.
You finished up last year? Maybe he might have. There are two things that can cause a password reset. One is it hasn't been reset in 6 months. Two, there's been an officer change. So if you need any help with that, we'll get you help with it. But just go ahead and follow the prompts if you can to reset. I don't think we did, but we can look individually. I know at the end of 6 months, it will time you out and force you to reset, okay? What district is it? What district? Michigan 4? Okay. And 9, okay. Okay. So what you're seeing here is, this is a post sign-on. So I kind of highlighted our hot spots, up on the ceiling. Across the top, we have a toolbar, downloads, contact, my account, log out. The main tools that you're interested in are over in the left menu. And there is a bulletin board here as well, where we try to keep people informed about various things, okay? Some of the new features, how to print a PDF and those kind of things. So, in the left menu, we're kind of broken down by member post processing, search for members in your post and that kind of stuff. We have a report server. The report server is really designed to give you user-friendly output that can go to Excel or to a PDF. And some of the tools to publish, find members in the headquarters post for revitalizations, and post officer materials, brochures, speeches, manuals, and then we also have the officers forum. Okay, so sign-on screen, not a whole lot about that. You're prompted with your username and password. Okay, oops, I went backwards there. Sorry about that. Okay. So at the district level, you're not going to be able to change any addresses or anything like that, okay? But you'll be able to view them. You'll be able to get lists of, in a post, who hasn't paid. I believe you can also see the districts or the posts in your district that are using My Legion. Consolidated post report, listing of posts, and as I just said, the My Legion registered posts, okay? So, has anybody used the tools in My Legion for a revitalization? Okay, did you find that helpful? Okay. Okay. And that's going to be the crux of our discussion here. That's really what My Legion at the district level is for. The question was, how many at the district level have carried on revitalizations? And the gentleman up here from Florida, no, Georgia, stated that he had used it. We'll look at some of those tools, but where I was leading us to there is that's the probably biggest advantage as a district officer that this tool offers you. That is to draw on your headquarters post, draw on members that are expired, and bring them back into the loop. We usually define that list as the low-hanging fruit, okay? So this is the easiest way to get to them, as you'll see. So we can search by these members if you have a particular question or issue regarding a member. You can see members renewed online. If for any reason you're assisting with that administration, that is getting cards to members who renewed online. Okay. Yes, sir.
It prints up the whole district, how you subdivide and sort by posts. So you just print out one post.
Well, and actually, when you, in the report server, it'll give you a drop down and you choose which post you want to print. Okay. We'll go over that. I believe that is in the report section and also in another section there as well.
What I have to do, all my posts are computer set, so I have to download the reports and send it to them.
Okay. Okay, so this is a list all members. and I think we might be speaking to exactly what you're talking about here. If I'm district, whatever I might be, this drop-down here will be, just give me a list of the districts in my post. So if I click on search, shows me the members in that post. Can I print from there, Libby? No? Maybe not. Okay. I do know over on the report server side we can. So, just a quick note about this grid. It's got ID numbers, names, what post they currently belong to, what their status is. That is active, expired, deceased. I don't know, did the deceased show up there? I believe they do. Puffle member, and I always try to make a point about the undeliverable column, okay? So that's usually a situation where the post office has told us that address is not a deliverable for that person. That's not always true. I've had post officers say that's crazy. He lives right next door to me and that's his home address. Sometimes the post office doesn't get that right. I don't have any postal workers in here, do I? Typically, a lot of those address changes come from a service in the post office called ACS NCOA. Very, very, very good service. As you all know, I know people here in Indiana that go down to Florida in the wintertime, go to the post office, say from this time to this time, I'm going to be at this other address. We'll actually get that address through the USPS NCOA, okay? It's very helpful. So when you see these kind of addresses or these flags that are sitting out there, if there's any way you can assist in the process of finding what is that new address, that is very helpful. As you all know, members move around a lot, right? They really do. The dynamics of people moving. I was in a meeting with some leaders, and I was talking about the issue of post transfers. If I include headquarters to traditional and traditional to traditional, in calendar 2016, we did about 275,000 transfers nationwide, okay? So people are on the move. Transfers are happening all the time. It's probably everybody moving from Indiana down to southern Georgia or Florida so that they can enjoy the sunshine a little more. Okay. So it does not provide a print roster from this screen. I'm getting educated too as we go. Rosters and reports are available in the downloads area. Okay. So if I click on one of the members' ID numbers, you know, I get the member information, their payment history. I can also look at donation history. Usually that's related to any online national programs they may have donated to or department fundraising programs. Offices, commissions, post adjutant commander, those are the only two officer positions tracked at national headquarters. Then you have all the department, NEC, and all the other national level commission committees. So data changes, for instance, this particular member, if I look down the left side, I can see there was address changes, an email change. If I click on the word ADDR, it will expand over here the details. So for instance, whoops, I'm sorry, this is an email address change. The old email address was this. So there's an audit history there. Yes?
On the previous screen where it said the posting track, the post commander and post adjutant that also track, what is it, district commander, district adjutant, county commander?
We do, I believe, district and county commanders as well. Okay. Yes, as long as they're reported. Sometimes we have trouble with that. Okay. So if you need to see online renewals, member renewals search. Does this show us by post or everything in the district?
Everybody.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, some of this stuff I've been removed from for the last couple of days. Can't remember beyond that. So here I'm saying, I'm going to go in and get a list of members who renewed online in a particular time frame. And I'm not sure exactly why we do that at the district level. Do you know?
Why we get them on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because as a district commander, when I'm making rounds to post, one of the things I don't like about it, if you get to the screens, is that you don't put down, see where the guy's name is? If you put another column there and put it
Repeat your question.
Sorry.
My question to him was,
Try it now.
if you're a district commander, and on this front screen, if you're on the road somewhere and you don't have a printer, and you don't want to take the time to download this thing and then open it up, if they would put the post next to the guy's name going down, you can scan through it faster, find out what post he's in, and if you're at that post, you can tell them what online renewals they've got. Because a lot of posts don't log on to this and look at it. And it'd make it a lot easier. I could find their name a lot quicker and what post they're in.
The reason why, in Wisconsin, the reason why we need this report is because the posts, when they report their members to the department on a transmittal, need to deduct the online credits against the amount that they pay in.
Just a quick advice that this list is broken down alphabetical by post. So every time the alphabet starts over, that's a different post.
Okay. So when these lists are generated, they can be output to an Excel spreadsheet. Everybody know what a CSV is? No? How many people don't know what a CSV is? See, this is what I always tell people that above me. It's like, it's not as easy as it looks. Okay. Right. CSV is a format, a data, it's kind of a technical thing, format, comma-separated value. The cool thing about it is if you use Excel, it'll open right in Excel. It'll open right in Microsoft Access. You can import it into SQL Server. So we've tried to utilize, we'll call it the ubiquitous file format of CSV. This particular file was opened in Excel. And what it shows us is the information about the person, the post, to the point a minute ago. Now we could set filters, or if you know how to do data filters in Excel, I could click on filters and then say go to post, and I only want a particular post. So what I try to encourage people to do here, get familiar with other tools like Excel. They're very, very helpful, but they're not real intuitive. A lot of people open them up, shut them, and say, that's not for me. Spend a little time with them. YouTube videos, there's all kinds of things you can learn there. So the idea here in My Legion is we get it out into a file that you can deal with locally, but it behooves you also to get educated with these other Microsoft Office tools, specifically Excel and Word. Okay, they're very helpful. So.
You still got the same problem with this. If you've got a guy that lives in Delaware and he belongs to the Elkhorn Post, you're showing him, if you search for that guy, you're not going to find him. He's going to come in Elkhorn. Come up where he lives in. Damn. He's going to where he comes up in Delavan and he belongs to an Elkhorn Post, you're not going to get him, even when you do your separation. Because if you separate him by county, it's still going to show him in a different post. And if you don't put his post number in there, you're not going to know where he's at.
His post number's out on the very far right.
It is way out here? Oh, I see it way over there.
Well, and that's what I'm saying here is if you know some of the basic tools of Excel, If I clicked on filter, then I clicked on that column, I could just say show me posts. Okay. But we'll look at enhancing some of those things as well. All right. So CPRs and My Legion usage, post inquiries, consolidated post report, list all posts, My Legion registered members, okay? The post inquiry, not a whole lot to it. You select your post and then it'll show you the specifics that are associated with that post. If you want to know who the contact is, telephone number, what we have on file. The thing I always tell people pay attention to is the dues information. That's what's going to show up on a renewal notice. That's also what's going to show up on the remittance address. We'll get calls after the renewal notice goes out and somebody says, oh, these dues are wrong. And everybody hates it when the dues are wrong. So always pay attention to that. Encourage your post to review it as well. Yes, sir.
Who do you call if the post zip code or the post is not listed?
You can call our customer service and we'll find out why, okay? It's probably has something to do with its current status. Submitted CPR reports. So the CPR reporting cycle, does this go through that, what that is, Libby? No? Okay. I'll just mention something about it very quickly. Everybody understands, and I think there's always conversations during the workshop about please, please, please get post to fill out consolidated post reports. The way that reporting cycle works is fill out, get your post to fill out consolidated post reports.
Yeah, but it only picks up the ones online.
No, this will do both. See where it says entered online, yes, Michigan 154, that was entered at national headquarters, okay? So they are both available. Okay. So just a note about the reporting cycle. I believe now we are starting at sometime around the November timeframe, okay? We're trying to get it out there as quickly as possible. What really drives the changes are the October meetings of the NEC. That's when they may make some changes, okay? So that reporting cycle in a department is usually about a month ahead of what the nationals is. The reason they want all of those in are so that everything can be printed, tallied, and presented at national convention, okay? So the consolidated post report cycle, a lot of it is basically set up on the national convention, following quickly behind by the next testimony of the current national commander in front of Congress. So they like to have all that data available. They present it to the Senate committees. So that's why the reporting cycle works the way it does. And if data gets to us after the reporting cycle is closed, it's kind of no good because it wasn't counted, it couldn't be used. So just be conscious of that that reporting cycle. So on any of these here, I can generate a list. This shows me for a particular post 2. There's that pretty consolidated post report. And then from here, we could print it as a PDF, okay? Yes, sir.
Why are the CPRs wiped out at January 1st?
Why are the CPRs wiped out after January 1st? They're not wiped out. They're just the new one is put online. Okay. So I know you're asking for historical there. What I encourage people to do, after you get these, print them out and save them, okay? We can only archive so much information out on the system, so with the way you can save documents these days. Yes, sir.
Okay, Michigan, another question. I sent in a CPR.
I sent in a CPR probably a month before the deadline, and if I remember right, in the instructions, it said that that would be brought down or sent down to department level. But yet when we had our department convention, my CPR didn't show up in department because I didn't print out a second one, and send it to them. But yet, if I remember right, the instructions say that that information would be sent down to the department.
The information is available for department download. What, we'd have to check with Michigan. We can find that out. Okay, yes. Just had a request for better readability of this form, which I know that's something that's been on the plate. Actually, we changed the SAL one, so we'll take a look at that. Now, Rolanda, did you have a break scheduled in here? Where am I at time-wise? Just keep on going? All right. Okay, good. We'll rock on through this. Okay. So, generating a list of all posts. These are all posts within the district. Again, we can output it to a CSV. Can we also output it to a PDF, Libby? As a database, as a database spreadsheet. Okay, so again, I go back to the Excel thing, okay? A lot of times people get lost with that. Try to invest some time in learning a little bit more about how to use those tools. And if you're like me, if some of these things you don't know how to do, I just call on my 8-year-old granddaughter and she can help me right through this stuff. Okay, so these particular listings by post, it's all the pertinent information about a post. I suppose you could use those for mailings or contacts to the posts in your area. This would be the latest that's available at National. Registered posts. So these are registered posts within a district. So I'm actually looking at a Michigan district here. Michigan people probably recognize it. The list will show us that Michigan Post 2 started on 12/3/2010. Their last sign-on was 7/25/17, and they've signed on 371 times, okay? So you as a district officer, this tool can help you understand who's using it. Because the flip side of that is people will sign up for this, then they never use it. So encourage them in any way they can. And this is kind of your metric to go out there and see who's using it and who's not. Okay. So we have reports. This is the output stuff, okay? This is usually what people are interested in. This is what can help you in your district organizing membership efforts. Under downloads in the report server, we've tried to push things over to the report server because it's a little easier to use, a little more user-friendly. So for instance, if I clicked on reports and labels in the left menu, I see all of these reports here. I can get headquarters transfer invitations. Those are 8.5 by 11 personalized letters. Listing current members by post, find members in my area, paid members by post, and project stay active by area. So, just real quick, everybody understands the difference between a current roster and a paid roster, right? Right. Okay. So, everyone that's on a current roster belongs to that post, but they may not have necessarily paid to that post. And as you all know, membership reports are driven by where they paid to. So that's why we separate those two. So you can see who are the paid members to this post and this membership year, which should be pretty close to what you see on your membership report, versus who are current members in the post that maybe might not be renewed, okay? So, the HQ transfer invitation, I was talking about that up here earlier. Is Paul still here? Paul Brown? No? Thought I saw him a minute ago. This was kind of his brainchild. We've put this together. We've had a lot of traction. What this does is say you're a district officer and you're trying to revitalize a post. So your target post, let's call it post 2. You're in Georgia. You want to draw from post 400 available people in a certain zip code. Excuse me. And then you're going to send them, print out a letter, and tell them a few things about what the post does. It does a automatic personalization in hopes that these people will transfer into your post. Typically, you see anywhere from about a 5 to 10 to 15% engagement. That is, people actually respond, say, yes, move me in, okay? So, the way this works, when I click on headquarters transfer invitation, the first thing I do is select the zip codes that I want to pull from my headquarters post. Then I want to tell it what is the target post. In this particular example, it's Michigan Grand Rapids Post 2. Once I choose that, the form will go out and find the post address, the city-state zip, the phone number, the current post representative. It'll pull either the adjutant or the commander, their email address, and then, of course, their title. So, you notice all of these boxes are open. In these boxes, this information is also used to personalize the letter and tell them where to send it back to, okay, the return address. So if you want that to be the return address of the first vice and that person's name, just change it here, okay? So we'll go out and grab what we know, but you can personalize it, and I'll show you where here in just a second. The other thing is, wait a minute. There is a sentence that's built on the fly based on what other Legion entities are at the post. That is an auxiliary unit, an SAL squadron, or a Legion Riders chapter, okay? And I'll show you how that works here in a second. So, for this example, I set all that information. I said I had a Legion Riders chapter, and I know it's a little hard to read, but everything you see there in highlight is personalized. So this letter says, by joining the Legion, you've taken the first step for a powerful veterans organization. Transfer to Post 2. Then it speaks to Post 2, let's see, does it talk about the city? No, it doesn't, okay. See right there, it does, yeah, there's actually in another letter, it actually speaks to the location. But then down here at the bottom, the commander's information is put in there as a signature, along with contact info. Now, back on this screen, had I changed this information, it would have been changed down there where the remittance is, okay? So, at the very bottom, it says, yes, please transfer my membership to Post 2 in Grand Rapids. Sign here. While you're at it, we're missing some information. If you give us phone and email and date of birth, when you send this back to us, that would be very helpful. Yes?
When I go to print, I can't get rid of the header at the top.
No, you sure can't.
No, I don't mean the address, I mean the selection header.
You're talking where it says American Legion Post 2?
On the last screen. I haven't found out how to do that.
Okay. Well, you could also output this to a Word document and pull that out that way, okay? You're talking about the actual header at the top, this?
No. Go back one correct. Next screen, please.
Whoops.
I can't get rid of that part off the top of the letter.
He's talking about the gray area, Joe. Really what he needs to do, if he's not exporting it, he's just printing, go back one screen. So he's saying that's printing on his letter, that gray box. So when you get your results, make sure you export it. Because you don't print from that screen, you have to export that.
Okay, thank you. And that's a good point. So and what we're talking about here, what Libby was talking about, Once your screen is built, you've got to click on this little icon to output it to a PDF, okay? That will get rid of all those headers that you're talking about. So, the listing, find members in my area, kind of works on the same premise. It's going to pull people from your headquarters post, okay? As well as any expired members. So for instance, this particular example, we're going to go in and choose our zip codes and our last paid membership year. Notice, and I'll explain why that jumps a little bit. And a list of available posts. Why would we do that, okay? So, first thing the form does is we choose these zip codes and it goes out and says what available last paid years are in that zip code. Then it builds your next list. Based on what you find out here, you may only want the 2018s, you may only want the 2017s. You can select whichever one you want. Also, if I'm in Michigan, I may only want the 225s. I don't care about this post that's 2 blocks away or 2 miles away. So what this is telling me, based on that selection criteria, I have people whose last paid post in those zip codes was 3 Michigan posts, and there's 1 person that's moved in there from Virginia, okay? So, helpful information. A little bit confusing, but that's basically what it's telling you. Then from here, I can output that list, based on the export icon right there, okay? So over on the report server, it's a little easier to work with, okay? So project stay active, how many of you remember that one? It's kind of the same data, just put out there a different way. These are all the people that might have moved into a particular zip code in the last 30 days, okay? I would just encourage you to use find members in my area. You'll get pretty much the same thing. Current members by post, we talked about that, and paid members by post. So this is kind of the equivalent of your green bar, except it's live data. It's what we have today, okay? So, any questions about that? We getting glazed over here yet? Okay. Do I have a question? Okay.
How long does it take from an adjutant sending How long does it take from the adjutant in the state sending a card in to their department to coming up on mylegion.org?
So, the answer to that is it all depends. It all depends on the department. What department are you from? Indiana. They come to us fairly quick, just kind of right across the street. That is, what I can say is when we get a transmittal in today, the cards will be scanned. If they hit the door before 11 o'clock, they'll be scanned today, okay? So for instance, yesterday I was looking at a set of cards that came from Iowa, had 3,400. It scanned, and 300 of them got set to the side because they are new start cards. The other ones got posted last night, okay? So it's a fairly quick process unless it's a start card. That has to go over to a group that has to hand key, okay? What's the start card? Yes, the one that has the X's at the top and it's blank, okay? Yes, ma'am. Question in the back?
I'm Pat Lydell from Department of Georgia. I just have a question. How long does it take for a post to come off the roll?
That's obviously the part of the loop that is dependent upon the boots on the ground to continue or to make it happen.
Yes, Ed Stringer from South Dakota. You go knock on somebody's door. What do you tell them when they say, "Where did you get my name and address?"
Those members gave you the information when they signed up and gave you their name, address, email, phone number. They're a member, they gave you the info.
Okay. Yes.
The issue is with paper posts. I was asked to pose this question regarding we're not able to access any information, with them. We can't update anything, we can't enter in it.
Well, is there not an officer at the post?
No, they don't exist, it's just all on paper.
Okay, no administrator at all?
There is an administrator, but we put him in as like an adjutant slot,
Okay,
and he's the adjutant of 4 of the I have 4 paper posts in my county.
okay.
He's the adjutant of all 4, but still doesn't let him, update or do anything. Is there an override, or is there something that we can reach out to you on?
No, at this point in time, I really don't have a good answer for that. Other than, as a district officer, you can see that information here, so,
Well, that's another issue that I'll take up with Liddy offline,
okay,
because we're having an issue with that.
all right.
Thank you.
Yes,
Paper post. Some people say paper post, ghost post. It's your headquarters. Some people say it's a headquarters post, but it's the post that doesn't have your paper post. They're just on paper, no building, they don't have meetings, things like that. Correct? I'm talking about this particular one, not everybody's paper post. This particular one. Don't kill me.
We closed, a good example of this we mentioned earlier, we closed 4 posts,
Yes.
and we moved whatever members were left, there was 2s and 3s.
Yes.
And they came off the books, we did it all proper, they came off the books, they're gone. We took those 2s and 3s and moved them into the paper post.
Okay. So for New York, paper post is like a catch-all post, but it's not their headquarters post. Now, we are getting off topic, and I want to let you know that Libby is going to be outside. For those of you that have the access and we're trying to follow along, and you were able to follow along a little bit, but it has specific questions. Libby's going to be outside. These other forms right here that he's showing you are just like the reports and things, and they will both be outside to go in detail with you. Now, I don't want a mad exodus out there. No mad exodus is allowed, but give Libby a chance to set up out there, and then she can help you. I do have Americanism up next, but I do want you to stretch your legs. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes. Stretch your legs. Go do what you need to do. We're starting in 5.
Wisconsin does not have 2018s listed yet. You said you said you'd cover that, and you never did.
there is a new tool out there right now. I just want to
Okay, we're going to get ready and get started. You'll have more time.
Cardiologist for me? You're the crack.
Okay, let's get started.
So are you gonna be down here tomorrow? Jim, that's my foot you're on. Jesus, she causes me to have a heart attack and you crushed my foot. I couldn't step over that sucker. Well, why didn't you tell me to move it? I was afraid to sleep on that side. Oh, I'm sleeping in my car. I gotta have something. This way you can't run away. All right.
Yeah, that's right.
Sit down and keep quiet, will you, for crying out loud? How would you like to move to today, Joe? How would you like to move to northern Wisconsin and take over as district commander? I'll let you. Hey, Joe.
Okay, we got everybody back? Most everybody back? Well, could I ask someone to get the doors in the back, please? Up, there comes Rod.
Okay, as we wait for our others to come in, we're going to go ahead and get started. What we have next is our Americanism division, headed by our director, Jill Dreskus. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
What we're going to talk about is Americanism. You as district commanders, one of your tasks that you have heard already and that you will hear again as we speak some more today and tomorrow is helping your post get a program going. If they have one going and it has gotten stagnant or they want to know how to make it better, they're going to look to you to do that. And I'm going to look to the professionals here in Americanism to show you how to show your post how to do that, okay? So we're going to start with Americanism with Jill, and she's going to introduce the rest of her staff over here as they present, okay? All yours.
Thanks, Rolanda. Could I ask you to get the back door there? Thank you, ma'am. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Hey, that was nice and loud. You enjoying your conference so far, your workshop? Excellent, excellent. Well, I am truly honored and privileged to be here today. As Rolanda mentioned, I'm Jill Dreskus. I am the director of the Americanism Division at Your American Legion National Headquarters here in Indianapolis. And I have brought with me today Team Americanism, at least the ones who are still here right now. We have some who are on the road with program travel, a little thing, Boys Nation, American Legion Baseball. But we're very proud to be able to be here today and to take some time to visit together with you, as Rolanda said, about programs and how those can relate to membership. So, I want to first set the stage then before I turn it over to my team. A 1971 Wall Street Journal article loudly proclaimed the demise of the American Legion. Slowly fading away, it heralded. It, the American Legion, fails to recruit younger veterans, it declared. In 1971, VSOs were focusing on recruiting the younger veteran, back then Vietnam veterans. So some approaches the article said that posts were taking were to put rock music on the jukebox instead of polka, or to give away free drinks, or to give away free meals. They were doing all of these changes in hopes of attracting the younger veteran. But within that 1971 Wall Street article, there was a beacon of inspiration and of hope. there were some Legion posts who were, in fact, successfully overcoming the barrier of attracting the younger veteran. They stated what they were doing is that they were offering a crowded calendar of social activities and civic projects. They found it wasn't the gimmicks, it wasn't the giveaways, it wasn't the freebies, it wasn't the music on the jukebox. It was those activities and civic projects that are embedded in and give foundation to what? Our 4 pillars of the American Legion. Very good. Those posts found vitality and success in their membership and in their communities by placing all of their focus on the 4 pillars. Now, was it a different time back in the 70s? Of course it was. It was a different era. Yet, with all of the challenges unique to those times, the elements of the 4 pillars prevailed. So perhaps rock singer John Bon Jovi, who is also a New Jersey Boys State alumni, how many knew that? Very good, very good. Maybe he sums it up best in one of his songs when he says, the more things change, the more they will stay the same. Meaning, some things are going to change as time goes on, but there are some things that are tried and true that won't change. The 4 pillars were just as important in 1971 to the vitality and interest of American Legion posts as they were at our founding in 1919, as they are in this very day as we all sit here together. Still many of the same challenges today, yes, especially in declining membership and attracting younger veterans, but the Legion is far, far from fading away. We're still prominent in helping veterans, military, their families, children and youth, and our nation. Our 4 pillars are what make us vital to our nation and our communities. And an active home post reaches out to the interests of both its membership within the post and the community that it serves. So Rolanda did ask if today Americanism would take opportunity to visit with you today about programs as it relates to membership. So without further ado, I'm pleased to turn the microphone over to Brittany Yoder, who has our first discussion point. And then we will save time for questions at the very end. All right? Here you go, Brittany.
Thanks, Jill. Okay, can everybody hear me? Because sometimes I struggle. So, can you hear me? You want me to talk into it? All right. So, what I'm going to talk about is one of the main questions about programs. How can we use it to drive membership? So, basically, programs are one of the best ways to let the community know who you are and what the American Legion is about. Jill made an excellent point talking about the 4 pillars. That's what drives our organization, and that's what we need to use to let the community know why we're here and what we can do for them. So, basically, programs can be used to increase your community engagement and create a familiarity with the American Legion family brand. So we need to start taking credit for our programs, letting people know who's putting them on. Boys State is not a week that shapes a lifetime, but American Legion Boys State is a week that shapes a lifetime. So we need to let people know it's American Legion Boys State, American Legion Auxiliary Girls State program that is out there shaping the lives of our community members. Basically, programs are one of our greatest membership benefits, and we need to be using that to bring in new members and to keep the members that we have. With the programs, when you're engaging family members, you're engaging coaches, you're engaging youth, engaging veterans, don't be afraid to ask them to join your post, and don't be afraid to encourage your post to put out those membership applications and to get the word out there. If we are providing this benefit to them, they can provide the benefit back to us. It's a reciprocal relationship, right? So basically, one of the best ways to increase community engagement is by ensuring that you have a community program that is a good fit for the community that you're operating in. And my friend Megan is going to talk to you guys a little bit about that.
Yeah, good job. Okay, so the question they wanted me to answer is how to find a program that's the right fit for your particular post. So once you learn about all of the Americanism and children and youth programs that the American Legion has to offer, you should try to link one specific program to your community's needs, like Brittany said. You can find out what your community really wants if you attend, various community events such as city council meetings, festivals, etc. You also want to survey your post members because you want to find out what it is that they want to volunteer for and what it is that you can link with what the community wants, so you'll have plenty of volunteers to help you make that program you guys choose successful. And another thing we always tell people to do is reach out to surrounding posts. All the posts in your district, find out what makes their programs successful, their failures, you want to learn from those. And all of those things will help you really choose the program that best suits your post, your community, and then you can really drive all of your initial efforts into making that one particular program successful before you start taking on others, and so you don't spread yourself and your volunteers too thin. So to conclude, just keep in mind that every post is unique. Wyoming does the rodeo. There's a few departments where they're really big into soccer. Just find something that your community wants, that your volunteers really want to do, and just work on making that program successful. Next up, we have Shane Abrams.
Okay, I'm going to talk about starting your program. Developing an American Legion, American Division youth program is a great way to get involved in your local posts and to make a valuable contribution in your community. Taking time to plan carefully before the program begins can eliminate a lot of barriers during the implementation process. First seek guidance from your department youth program website, then your national youth program website, then your department youth program chair. If no assistance available, contact your national headquarters youth program subject matter expert or your national youth program manager. Second, assess the needs of the resources available in your posts and community and see if there are existing youth programs with a similar mission which you might be able to collaborate. Design the parameters of your youth program. Define the youth population that will be served. Consider the age, gender, and common characteristics. Identify who you will recruit as adult leaders. Determine the focus of the youth program, be it academic, school, or career, fitness, sports. Additionally, it should be used as a membership tool. Determine where the youth programs will occur. Determine how often youth and adult leaders will meet and the desired length of the activities. Determine desired outcomes. Determine if the program will be a standalone program or if you will collaborate with other programs. For example, in junior shooting, we partner with the Civilian Marksmanship Program, and they provide technical assistance to those programs and departments or clubs looking to start a program. Another example would be the National Speech and Debate Association, where they partner with posts to help them recruit participants for the oratorical contest. Identify the key stakeholders and generate buy-in within your posts. Plan how the youth program will be evaluated. Develop policies and procedures to support the youth program and protect youth participants. Establish protocol to ensure communication with participants and adult leaders. Develop a marketing and recruitment plan. Plan how the program will be managed. Identify the management team and/or committee. Ensure clear roles. Establish policies and procedures. Implement ongoing training. Develop a financial plan. And lastly, implement the program. Now, to talk about how to make a good program better is Jeremy Field.
Thank you, Shane. So once you have your program off the ground, it's a constant process of always trying to improve your program, as no program will ever be perfect, and a lot of the programs have competition that are always striving to improve. So how do you go out there and improve a program that you already got off the ground? The first step might be the hardest, and that's self-assessment. It's really hard to look at yourself in the mirror and admit you made mistakes or there's something you can do better. But it's really important to take a step back, take a look at your program from the perspectives of the participants, the parents, post members, volunteers, and see what you can do better. You can also survey members that were involved, stakeholders that were involved in your program, to see what they thought of the program. There might be something you haven't thought of that they experienced, something you didn't get to see because you can't be everywhere at once. So it's important that you get reflection from everyone to find out what has been going on well, what you should keep doing, and what needs improvement. And that includes keeping notes yourself as the year goes on within your program. It's hard to reflect at the end of the year and try and remember everything you've done. If any of you have ever done an evaluation for your job, a personal self-evaluation, it's hard to remember all the good things you did all year. So if you keep notes throughout the year, you'll be able to have a timeline and know what you're doing well and what needs improvement. In addition, we've talked about reaching out to other posts to find out how they do things well. That works once you have your program off the ground too. You can find out best practices. And don't only look for programs in your region or in your area. Try and find programs outside that might be doing something completely differently. Try and find programs and in posts that are similar to you in membership size and program size. And don't be afraid to ask questions. So at our baseball chairman's conference last year, two of arguably our strongest programs had their chairman talking, and it was amazing how many times they both said to each other, "I never thought of that." So two of our strongest programs got ideas off of each other that both can use in the future to step it forward. Also, in order to improve, you might want to find additional sources of funding. That includes sponsorship, going out to local community members who understand how important community is to them and to their sales. Try and get some extra money to help boost your program in a variety of ways. Also, you could do fundraising events with post sponsorships or post outreach. So for example, the American Legion World Series is coming up. I'll be down in Shelby, North Carolina going next week. The games will be nationally televised on ESPNU. Bring people to your post. It might be the first time they ever are at your post, and give them an opportunity to see what you're all about, give them an opportunity to see what our programs can do for the youth in the community. And the next part is telling your story. Being a veterans organization that serves children, the news loves that. I mean, those are two of the greatest things. Jill says news loves animals, children, and veterans. So maybe get a dog out on the field and you'll get all three. But to tell your story, Bruce is going to explain that. Here's Bruce Drake.
Thanks, Jeremy. Okay, now we're going to talk about, you've got a successful program. Now let's talk to your community about that program. There are three ways. Wait a minute here. Yeah, there's three. Internal, parallel, and external communications. First off, I'm going to start, it's the easiest audience we have, that's internal. Let's tell our fellow Legionnaires of what we're doing. That's your post, district, department, public relations officers writing up press advisories in their programs, their newsletters, and well as updating fellow members across your own state about what you're doing at your posts. You use that advisory for your upcoming events, articles about the events themselves, and also write up after action reviews about the events. So that, case in point, you got a junior shooting sport tournament coming up. You're hosting the match. You should want to tell your fellow district members, as well as your department, hey, come to the match 6, 7, 9 months out. You let them know, hey, we're having that match in February. We want you guys to come on out. Come on out. You do that to your media as well. Hey, we got this going on in February. Day of the event. Have a special opening for that reporter to come to that match so he can observe what that junior shooting sport event is going on at your post. And then afterwards, you write a news article for your department newsletter. How well it went, how many people attended, how many media were there, how many kids got to speak to the reporter, how many parents got to speak to the reporter. Hey, did you invite do an invitation with the reporter? Well, let's go have a conversation with the reporter. That's the thing, you talk about your program internally. Then you contact, this is the best part, your department and national program leads. We heard speak earlier about the fact that we need to know what your best practices are so that we can put it out in future training conferences, newsletters, and training events, just like today, so that nobody's training in a bubble. Your best practice can be carried over from Wisconsin all the way over to Arizona, into Hawaii, up to Alaska. A little bit of a time change there, but the story can go out. That's the key. And this is another part for internal. Invite your program participants, both the children and the parents, to a post-district or department event so they can talk about what it's like, the impact of participating in the program has been on them and their family, so that other Legionnaires can know what the good work that program's doing for your post. So that's internal. Pretty easy, because we're all Legion family already, so it's a captive audience and a friendly audience. Now we're going to go parallel. And I say parallel, that's where you as program leaders and participants will go out to talk to other Legion family members as well as other members in your community. That's your parents and children in the participating in the program, talking to their friends at school, as well as the other parents in the neighborhood about what Johnny and Susie are doing at the local American Legion post, and then inviting them over to come join them. Because I'll tell you what, peer-to-peer networking is very important in the younger generation. It works, whether it's by Facebook. Hey, Johnny just shot a 10 at the junior shooting sports competition over at the post. I got a picture of the target with him smiling with a rifle. It's on Facebook. It's gone across the nation. Small thing like that, that's a peer-to-peer network, because now Johnny's cousin said, wait a minute, I shoot better than he does. He wants to come out and shoot. I'm just using junior shooting sport as an example. American Legion baseball. You know, Johnny got a double. Well, Johnny's cousin knows he can hit a triple. It's the same situation. Next thing you know, you got more people coming in. They want to talk about it. And then finally, they are, regarding external parallel communication, they are your best ambassadors. A satisfied family, happy with the program and how it's being run, will be your best ambassador about bringing in others, because they feel good about the program. They understand the benefits that the child's involved with, learning about the pillars of the American Legion, and about good sportsmanship, knowledge, respect for others. That's where it comes about when it comes to those programs. Now, here comes the hardest part, because no one, I have been talking to Legionnaires for over 20 years, as a Legionnaire and in working at the department and at National. Legionnaires never toot their own horn. They just do it because they want, it's the right thing to do, right? Well, guess what? We have to talk about what we do so that others who are not aware of what our programs are can understand why we do it. And that's called the external communication. Radio and TV journalists, newspapers, educators, school district leaders, and veterans not yet affiliated with us. That is our external communication. You work with your public relations officers to develop those press advisories. Again, not just internal. Now we're doing external. You deliver those press advisories directly to the radio station, to the TV station, to the newspaper. Strike up a conversation with the head receptionist there at the front gate, because they're really designed to keep people out of the area so that the reporters can work on things. But you know what? Sometimes you may just have to go up on Facebook, catch Guy Wilkins, Wish TV Radio. Catch him on his Facebook feed when he talks about the local tornado coming through. Say, hey, tornado's heading, but I've got an oratorical contest going. Got a lot of hot air going there too, but so what? We can go there and can learn something. Now the key on that one is you reach out. Invite them to the Legion Post where the event is happening. Perhaps even ask them to participate as judges. How many people know that mayors love to talk? Be a great judge for an oratorical contest. How about the local House of Representatives, the congressperson? Invite them out, especially if it's being held during a congressional recess and they were actually required to go out and meet the community. Have them participate in an oratorical where they can be a judge of the youth speakers, especially when it's talking about the Constitution, which they're supposed to be working with. Wow, kind of lean that one in. Okay. Well, yes, sir. But that's our goal, is to help push the word out. How about this? Invite the local paper's sports reporter to cover, or the local radio or TV station do a live remote from an American Legion baseball game. Maybe even broadcast the entire game. There you go. Mr. Story here, his team does it, local radio. We already talked about meeting each other, talking about Mr. Story here probably has a great way to connect to the local radio station with an American Legion baseball program. Just conversation right here. Thank you. Okay, now, how many people have Reserve National Guard units near their American Legion posts? How many of you have thought about trying to invite some of them to be the help out with the junior shooting sport program? They're source matter experts, a lot of them. Right over there, 7th District, what state, sir? South Dakota? Air Force, probably. Is there a lake in South Dakota big enough for a Navy? There you go. But see, the reason we make this joke, every service is proud of their use, but everybody has a service med expert, whether it's a reserve unit, National Guard facility, Air Guard. Get them involved with your local post, helping the youth, and they may even become members. Wait a minute. We just did full circle, didn't we? Back to membership? Oh, yeah, I already broke my 3 minutes. Yes, but there it is. Last one, Boy Scouts. How many of you sponsor a scout troop somewhere in your district? How many of you have done a scout skills demonstration in the local park on a Saturday? There we go. How many invited the local paper out to observe that? Think about the fact you are now out of the post. You're out in the community. You're engaged in family members, potential new veterans and their families. Getting them involved, saying, hey, we can do programs like this in our community and wear our Legion cap. So now I'm getting ready to turn over to our summary for our Deputy Director, Jason Keys, because I speak too much. By the way, thank you.
I think we're going to call Bruce Mr. Mayor from now on. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Glad to see everyone's awake. I know this is a hard time after lunch and you've had a long day, so we really appreciate you being here and let us come to speak with you. I do have the easy part. I get to sum everything up, so I can do it by saying what they said. But I decided to go ahead and prepare a few remarks just in case. The Times article that Jill mentioned earlier from the New York Times in 1971, since that time, we know that times have certainly changed and things are a lot different than they were in 1971. I see some faces around here. Some of you remember 1971, how difficult it was. For me, it was personally very challenging. I was learning to walk and talk. Very, very challenging time for me. Times have changed. We've had many different wars since that time. Attitudes have changed and the national dynamic has changed. But one thing hasn't changed. The primary role of the American Legion Post has remained the same since our founding in 1919, and that is to serve the needs of veterans, their families, youth, and the community. You've heard from our program managers this afternoon, and as a program division, we truly believe that good and healthy programs at the post level will bring in membership. Part of that process must include making sure new members get plugged into a program to keep them engaged. And let's not forget our members that go out the back door and don't renew. It's great that we have these membership drives and bring in the new members, but let's not forget about those who fail to renew and go out the back door. We should be actively seeking to get those members engaged in a meaningful way at the post through our programs and many activities. You heard earlier there is no magic bullet and there's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to starting and maintaining a great program, but all healthy programs have two elements that are similar, and that is great planning and execution. As part of that great planning, you are encouraged to seek out the best practices of other successful programs within your districts and departments. Posts that already operate a successful program can be a wealth of knowledge and can share the pitfalls to help you avoid them. As part of the execution, we must always remember to get the word out about what we are doing. We must let potential members know the benefits of belonging to a post and remind our current membership of the opportunities that exist at the post, as well as reaching potential participants in our programs. Consolidated post reporting this year. I was very surprised to look up this stat this morning. We are almost at 70%, which is the highest I've seen our reporting since I joined the national headquarters staff in 2002. I've seen some grimaces out there. I remember 42, 39%, 41%. We've come a long way since those consolidated post reports have gone online. But obviously there is some work to do. 70% is an all-time high, but that means that there's well over 4,200 posts across the country that are not reporting their activities. We certainly have work to do in getting the word out about what our posts are doing to demonstrate to the public that we are not a dying organization and continue to be vital to the nation and the communities in which we serve. Our continued efforts to promote our post programs and activities goes hand in hand with membership to attract and retain new members and to engage new members, our less active members and those that choose not to renew their membership. In addition, it demonstrates our commitment to continuing to serve our communities and our great nation. Before I close, I would like to state on behalf of the Americanism Division and all of your national headquarters staff, thank you for your continued service to our American Legion. It is through your devotion and hard work of volunteers such as yourselves that the American Legion continues to have an immeasurable positive impact in our community, state, and nation. By continuing our focus on our foundation and our 4 pillars, we will continue to be a strong force in this great nation. At this time, we are going to open up to questions, but beforehand, our director, Jill Druskus, would like to come up and personally introduce our team.
All right, let me now reveal to you who your subject matter experts have been this afternoon from your Americanism Division. So team, why don't you come on up here and we'll line up and do some introductions. Okay, first I would like to introduce Megan Sweet. She's our Assistant Director of Youth Welfare, primarily our TFA Program Manager. But Megan also does oversee initiatives and programs that deal with youth safety and health as well. Correct? All right. Branch of service? Marine Corps. Next, we have Brittany Yoder, our Assistant Director of Alumni Affairs Development. Yep. Brittany right now is specifically working on developing an alumni association for Samsung alumni. And so she's been working on that for 1.5 years now. It's coming along quite well, and we hope to be able to use that as a template to be able to develop alumni associations for other youth programs. Next, we have Jeremy Field. He is our Assistant Director of Baseball Promotions. And as Jeremy mentioned, he's going to be hitting the road here pretty soon because we have the American Legion World Series coming up. And Jeremy has been doing a phenomenal job, not just immediately leading up to the World Series, but throughout the entire year, promoting the program, promoting the World Series. So we probably want to put in a plug, Jeremy, that we want to challenge each of you to go back to your home posts and organize a watch party. Because the American Legion World Series is on ESPNU now. Which days, Jeremy? Saturday through Tuesday. So that's our challenge to you. Set up a watch party because it's a lot of fun. Or even better, if you can go to Shelby, please do. Next, we have Assistant Director Bruce Drake. He is our Assistant Director of Troop and Family Support and an Army veteran. Next, we have our Assistant Director, Shane Abrahams. He's our Assistant Director of Youth Programs, also an Army veteran. And so Shane specifically has oratorical, junior shooting, youth cadet law enforcement, and liaison with the Boy Scouts of America. And giving us our great wrap-up this afternoon is Deputy Director Jason Keys. He is the Deputy Director of Americanism Division. And he's kind of a jack of all trades, but he primarily helps support the Americanism Commission in all that they do to help oversee the programs. Jason's an Army veteran as well. Okay, let's see if there's any in here. And I am a proud United States Coast Guard veteran. Any others? Really? We have some Coast Guard? Excellent. I also did proudly serve in the United States Navy, so I know I have some fellow sailors out there. Well, we did leave some time this afternoon because these are your subject matter experts at your American Legion National Headquarters when it comes to Americanism, when it comes to youth programs, when it comes to youth welfare, when it comes to alumni development, when it comes to troop and family support, which is OCW, Family Support Network. We're here this afternoon as an opportunity for you to ask us any questions you may have. So now I will open it up to the floor to ask a question of any member of the panel. Do we have any questions?
What is TFA, or is that what it was?
Oh, wow, okay. So TFA is a temporary financial assistance. It's funded in part by the American Legion Endowment Fund. And we help veterans with shelter, food, utilities, and clothing up to $2,500. Oh, minor children. The veteran has to have minor children in the home, of course, to qualify for it.
I believe this one's for Shane. What is the earliest we'll be able to get the subject matter for the oratorical? We didn't get it till really late last year, and I'm kind of curious.
The subject, the
assigned
topics?
Yeah, yeah.
They were posted the day after the contest back in April. So if you go to our website, they're on there.
So that's all up to date?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for your question.
Yeah, sure.
The young devil dog. When you said TFA, we just had the big fires up in Arizona, as you're pretty much aware of, right? So are you saying in order for a veteran to receive those funds, they had to have a actual child within the home structure?
Correct.
So what if it's just a veteran that served his country or her country and now they were affected by this fire and they lost their clothing, they need food? Is there funds for them?
Bruce, NEF?
If it is a declared natural disaster, NEF may come into play for that.
Okay.
But TFA, just to be more specific, TFA is not actually for the veteran. It is for minor children of veterans.
Okay, I just want to make sure because we just did a bunch of paperwork for the individuals up in the Prescott area. So what's the turnaround point once we get that paperwork up to national?
It's just as quick as you can get it. We cut checks on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you started an investigation Monday and got it through your department and to me by Tuesday morning and everything was good to go, I can have a check coming to you Tuesday afternoon.
Okay, and same with you? Same? Okay. Okay, I just want to double check before I start.
Yeah, NEF is actually the National Emergency Fund, who may not know that acronym, and that is actually overseen by the Internal Affairs Commission/Division. And so they are the subject matter experts on that. So any questions you have about that, we'd certainly be happy to carry back to them, but maybe Roe and Bradley may be better versed in that.
Now, TFA, we all know you got to have dependent children. There is a program out there where you don't. That's the IVEST program, who Indiana sponsors. I don't believe any other state has it, any other department. We have a program where with not out dependents in the house, and if a veteran needs some help, we can get him some financial help. The other departments ought to look into it.
And you make a very good point, sir, that department from department to department also have very specific programs that may be able to provide assistance. And that is one thing that TFA does require, is that you first see what other resources are available and tap into those first, and then the application for TFA is submitted with that information.
We also have the same program in Iowa to assist TFA. It's through a local radio station, KIOA 93.3 out of Des Moines. They have golf outings, they have motorcycle rallies. They go to the local casino in Des Moines, have a talk show in the fall of the year. I think just in the last year, they've raised over $130,000, and they are real quick in getting money out to a veteran, especially while they're waiting for TFA to kick in.
On the TFA, isn't it true that the veteran has to be, he does not have to be in the American Legion, but he has to fall in within the qualifying dates of the American Legion, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
I'm just going to toss it, catch.
I don't actually have a question. I have a remark that I believe in very much. Something that's sorely lacking among Americanism. In my post and in my district, I'm 33rd District, Pennsylvania, the commander. And what I do is I look into the nursing homes. So many of our veterans are slowly forgotten. And I have my people, we go to the nursing homes, we contact them, we find out veterans there, we call them down. I try to explain what benefits they have, and we try to do something for them. And like I said, it's something that's so, our veterans that are in the nursing homes are some of the most forgotten people in the American Legion.
And that's a very good observation, and I say we could even take that a step further, where you could incorporate those veterans in nursing homes with children and youth, have intergenerational activities, take kids to the nursing home. What a great opportunity for the youth of the nation, that's the future for tomorrow, to hear about the experience of those veterans, and what a benefit for the veterans to have opportunity to interact with youth. So very well, point taken.
Hi, I just wanted to reiterate what someone else was saying about the National Emergency Fund. I live in the area that was flooded a year ago in West Virginia, and one of our posts, just one post, or two posts were completely wiped out. I mean, they were just totally destroyed. And the NEF came through an incredible amount. But all they had to do was make sure the paperwork was correct. Everybody here should know how to instruct their posts as to make sure about the information that's needed for the money to be given by the NEF. But the NEF is absolutely incredible, and several of my men in my post, they actually got personal help also. So I thank the American Legion for the NEF most assuredly. And Sister Maureen, Semper Fi.
Actually, I have a question. Those, and I apologize if I missed it earlier, if districts or posts need further information on the how to make it better, how to make it start, what is the email or phone number they should use?
If you're looking, we have email addresses specific to each youth program or each program of Americanism that we have. So for instance, yours is CNY. Okay, so, well, what's the email address? CNY@legion.org. But I will say, to make it easy, what I'd like you to remember is Americanism@legion.org. That's a centralized mailbox within our division. And then my secretary will help parcel out those emails to the appropriate subject matter experts. So if you go away with no other email than that one today, that's the one you want to remember. Any others? This is your chance. You got your subject matter experts here. And we would like to thank you also. We also know that you took time away from home, from family, probably in some cases from work. And we thank you for the time that you have and you're investing in being here, and for the time and the effort that you invest in your posts, your districts, and your communities back home. And I'd like to point out to you that actually this afternoon, you actually took to heart and exercised one of the points that we brought up about sharing lessons learned, best practices, putting heads together. So see, it's easy. It's really easy to be able to try and consolidate your efforts, implement your programs, develop your programs, and that lends itself to the 4 pillars, which lends itself to membership. So again, on behalf of the entire Americanism team, we thank you very much for what you do as well.
Thank you very much. Okay, wait a minute. I want to make sure I don't start whining and make everybody's ears bleed. Okay, before we do our breakout, thank you so much, Jill and the Americanism team. Thank you very much. Okay, before everyone makes a mad exodus, 3:45, we have the breakout sessions across the hall. Midwest, we are directly across the hall. And help me out, we got these two rooms are going to stay the same. Okay, so if you are southeast and all of that, you will see your liaison outside of your doorway, and we'll get you in the right rooms and we'll talk there. We'll have a quick breakout session. The social at post 64 is tonight. The buses will start to leave promptly at 5 o'clock. Bradley will be out front along with Sean Sparks to help people get loaded on the buses. They start leaving promptly at 5 for post 64. Tomorrow we get started at, 8:30? Yeah, that sounds good. 8:30, general session. Be comfortable for tonight. We start out bright and early in the morning. I will ask you to come up with ideas because the first thing we're going to talk about is the intricacies of district revitalizations and the responsibility of you as the district commander or that district point of contact. Billy Johnson will also come in and chat with us. Think about this. What is your responsibilities as a district commander for a district revitalization? That's what we're going to start with tomorrow, and that's your homework for tonight. Okay. Purple shirts tomorrow. Wear your purple shirts tomorrow.